Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very pleased to tell you that we are live somehow among stage 4. We're still able to have season 2 of EGL 1 going live tonight, and oh man, it's going to be an absolute killer of an Guns and Roses versus the Myrmidons. And
yeah,
I have to
correct you. One second.
I'm going to introduce you, but you know, if man needs no introduction, let's go.
Nah, we don't do introductions. We've been out here for too long. The two of us, I feel like when we're on the mic together, we don't do introductions. We've just been doing our thing. But it's Rosé, Guns and Rosé. How can you be a South African and not put respect on alcohol, Devin? What's happening here?
It's probably because I want to make some sort of excuse by listening to music I don't want to make an excuse. Oh no, I listen to Guns and Roses all the time, so that's why I made the slip up. But yeah, you got me there. No, so not my best work in introductions, but as you say, I think nice to be casting with you this evening. Obviously, you and I we're like the only people to survive like the V Wars. I don't know what the V Wars are. I just made that up, but you know, no one would have known better, right? That's what's important.
Yes, we came through. We survived. We survived a lot. We survived like the 3 or 4 bubble bursts in Dota, the bubble burst in Evesports. We've seen like all the best teams rise and fall. I mean, yeah, we came not just from so far back, right? We go so far back that we started as on the other side. We started as rivals, and yet here we are on the mic. That's how long we've been.
That's actually true. I mean, actually, and what's also interesting is that when we both started out, you had short hair and I had a short beard. Yeah, so there's your indicator, right? But yeah, no, obviously a lot of fun. But yeah, let's get stuck in a little bit into the matchup ahead of us. So obviously this is down in the low bracket, scary times for both these sides. Every match matters. Every time that you just get a little bit closer, a little bit further ahead, especially in tournaments that are as important as EGL 1, it matters. But to these two sides, this is also winnable from both perspectives. This is not a match that either side is going into thinking like, oh, we're playing in Sin 5, let's just do our best. Both these two sides are coming in to win this one. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, Myrmidons, they came in, open qualifier team, and of course they're not going to feel unfavored because they're versing a wildcard side in the side of the Guns and Rosé. So I think it's one of these things where, like you mentioned, every single match matters. It's effectively one of these things where you're resetting the tournament in your mind. Like you can't even think about the bracket run. If you're in the upper bracket, then you have the luxury and opportunity of thinking about your next opponents, who you're going to be playing next. But for both of these teams, all the focus is on this one game, this one BO3. Nothing else matters because if this goes south, that's it, right? There's no other second opportunities. There's nothing more to learn from. And I think it's also interesting that the fact that there's not much tape available for either of these two teams means that, like you say, you have to be extra focused about the game. And also you can't come into it with any expectation, right? You don't actually know how much stronger the enemy team is than you because there's not that much. You haven't seen them play that much. Neither will the teams have seen their opponents play that much. So it means that you have to put your best foot forward from jump. And it means that you also have to play with the confidence that you can win. There's no fear of name recognition. So you just got to go for it from jump. It's going to be... These tend to produce some of the most fun matches, especially in SA Dota. These kind of situations where there's no clear winner and everybody has to perform like 100% all the way through from jump.
Well, there's an interesting point here as well, because I think what's also quite significant about matchups like these is that teams have like different peaks, right? I mean, you talk about sides like Sinister 5, for example. We know that they have an exceptional good game and they're finishers, right? They're good at finishing out Dota games, right? But sometimes you get teams that they really excel in the laning phase, but they're not as good in the mid and late games. So they're trying almost in a hurry to win these games. And we don't know a huge amount about these sides, as you mentioned, and they don't really know a huge amount about each other. So kind of getting an idea of like, I want to play in this comfort zone, which is I just want to make it to late game because I think we're great there. It could actually backfire because your opponents could be totally awful in the mid and early, and you're leaving that opportunity wide open. But contrary to that as well, it could make up for some very interesting matchups, particularly when you get sides that are very good in the early, that start to fall away the longer the game goes, against a side that's really good at defending high ground and such. And I think you'll agree, one of the hardest things in Dota to do is to finish, to get up onto that tier 3 tower and don't lose skulls, don't have everyone stacking for the big Earthshaker ulti, or, I mean, forget, not even Earthshaker, like a Light Strike array, right? Like, how many games have we cast where just 2 people get caught up by LSA and you're just, okay, well, that may as well have been a Ravage at that point.
Yep, game's over, suddenly fight's gone south, and it's like you mentioned, almost always happens during the high ground push. It's the phase of the game which, like, you can be really far behind, but provided your high ground hold is good enough, you can keep the game going forever. I mean, we even got to see this at TI. I think it was game which game? No, it was in the upper bracket final, right? Where Team Secret beat or lost, sorry, to PSG LGD. And in that game, right, PSG LGD, they were able to hold the high ground in a spectacular way. That's the game where they were losing for like 25 minutes. They defend high ground twice, and then they win the game 3 minutes later. And that kind of thing can happen. And if you have the skill to be able to realize how to use all your spells in the correct order on the right targets, you can actually turn a losing game around very quickly. But it also generally requires discipline, right? That's where also the mettle of a team is tested on the defensive side. Do you have the discipline to defend well? Because we've also seen teams in situations where they actually have a high ground defending advantage just fall apart because they lack the discipline to hold it together in that moment in time. So that's what's also going to be fun about this game. There's going to be a lot of discovery. For us as casters, it's great to be discovering this, but for the players, it's very stressful discovery because you're like, oh snap, how do we deal with this?
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's one thing I think is great about this kind of 30 game as well. I mean, just the fact that we're talking specifically about the late game because it's kind of the conversation flowed there, but the reality is that it happens all over the show. I mean, it happens in the laning stage, it happens in the mid game, it happens in just like positional play. Like people, some sides really like to take the time, like, you know, choke their opponents out, just spend a lot of time, you know, occupying their jungle, just slowly making the map smaller for them. And other sides, they try to break free of that, for example. They like smoke out aggressively and you end up getting these great pickoffs and such. So it's going to be a lot of fun and a great opportunity for us just to explore some Dota with some teams that deserve to be here, wildcard or not. The fact that you reach this point in the competition means you have to beat someone. You had to knock some other people out of contention. Yep. You weren't last. You by no means can't play Dota. So one way or another, we're going to see some fun games ahead of us. I'm sure of that. Yep. Is it that you want to see though, Snare? Like if we just go there for a second, what would be like a dream scenario for you? Because I do have something in mind, so I hope you'll ask me back. But first, all yours.
My dream scenario, right? So let me tell you my dream scenario. Right off the bat, Magnus is banned, Elder Titan is banned, Tiny is banned, Lycan is banned, and then there's one team lost picks Nature's Prophet, the other team lost picks Tinker. And then I'll be happy. I'll be like, yes, we're going to have a very fun game here because it'll just come down to one thing I've been obsessed with of late is I've been obsessed with map control and warding control. And I feel like I would like to see teams get better at that. And certain drafts force teams to display how good they are at map awareness and map control. So I would love to see drafts that highlight that from both teams. That's like that's top on my wish list, like tippy top. What you got?
To be honest, I was just stunned you wanted Tinker. Like why have you? You know, it's like Voldemort, right? Now I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I don't dislike Harry Potter. You're welcome to like it, so there's no shade or anything. But one thing I do know is you don't speak his name, right? Like you speak about the evil one or something like that, right? And you've spoken the evil one into existence, which I'm very worried about because. Let's be honest. When have you ever been playing a Dota game? When have you ever? I mean, you could be like a Storm Spirit or like someone with Catch, Spirit Breaker, something that's actually good against the Tinker. And you see that Tinker come out, and you're like, yes, I'm so good. I'm so glad I get to play against him. It never happens. So
it has happened once. I was in a pub, right? I was in a pub. Check this out. So we did have Storm Spirit. We had Storm Spirit. We had Beastmaster. We had Snapfire. We had Spectre in the safe lane.
Okay.
And then, what was I playing that game? I was playing support. I think I was playing Lion. I was playing Lion, yeah, and I rushed Blink Dagger. Nah, that game was actually pretty fun to play against that Tinker. Tinker was hating life.
That's rude. Okay, fair enough. I mean, so what you're saying is that in a pubby, you might want to play against Tinker if you exclusively have heroes that are able to instantly bridge the gap.
Yes, yeah.
Good,
okay.
Heroes.
All 5 of them, yeah, then it's fine.
All 5 of them. And it's like, no matter what everything else does, like, it doesn't matter if they have like count initiation or as long as you can bridge the gap, then it's okay.
Yeah.
It's actually funny because that's one of the things I think do play a big factor into games like these, though, is that sometimes that like single-minded behavior is the difference between sides in, again, no shade, but like sides that are still growing. Let's go with that, right? So newer sides or less intense sides. It's just sometimes just like even if you have a guy like he never makes a good call, but you always follow him in. It tends to work out. That's kind of the situation I think sometimes play out because it's sometimes just like going in with your friends that makes all the difference. But all right, I was gonna say that the thing I'm really looking for is I really want one team to pull ahead and then another side, and obviously the other team to have a fantastic high ground defense. Like that's what I'm really looking forward to. Like things like Darks here that just make getting up the high ground really difficult, and an opportunity for both of us just go crazy when we see that big vacuum into whatever it might be it a Fisher or a Stormhammer, just something great that just changes the game on its head. That's what I'm looking forward to, and hoping it'll happen, and a lot of team fighting, which I think is likely the case. I mean,
that's guaranteed. Yeah, that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
I think like of all the regions that I've been seeing of late, for a long time in South Africa, we had a very big problem where we had too many people farming, right? You'd have like 4 people farming in the game, pretty much 1 support every single time. But now we've been, on the last like 6 months in particular, we've really been trending towards team fight. Like every team wants like a massive amount of team fight, even if you don't have like the best initiation or setup to make it happen. Almost everybody comes into the thing of, guys, if we can fight and win, then we can win the game later on. And sometimes it affects the balance of the teams, but it does make games extremely exciting pretty much every single time. So that I'm definitely expecting. That's also why I want Magnus banned, because if it's not, probably gonna get picked. But also, no, wait, Etienne did mention that like there's not that many great Magnus players. So, and it was
just because I've seen Not a Hero play Magnus, that's why I said that. Okay. All right, so let me interrupt you for just a moment, because we are now actually into the draft, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, let's not butcher the name again. Guns and Rosé versus the Myrmidons. And we want no Magnus and no Tinker. That'll be a win, right? Agreed. Fantastic.
I'll take it. It's a trade. It's a good trade. I'll allow it.
I want to pick your brain, though. How are you feeling about Doom these days?
Great hero. Honestly,
Dead
underpicked.
hero.
No, great hero. Great hero.
Oh, I was like, what? Really?
Yeah.
No, be still my
pretty good.
beating heart.
Doom's pretty great. Especially from the mid lane. Mid Doom seems... It's so good right now. Like, there's very few losing matchups. The changes to the stats that he made, and the only heroes that can like win that matchup right now, concludes like definitively every single time, is like Lina. But you know, Lina wins every matchup anyway, so you don't really care about that. But she doesn't kill Doom. Like nothing kills it in the mid lane. You have to rotate so many heroes to bring it in before you actually threaten his life. And Doom as a spell, you know, there's just certain things in Dota where the concept itself is busted, and the only way to deal with that concept is to make the hero in every other aspect worse. So for example, you have Enigma. Black Hole is a busted concept. Enigma sucks as a hero. That's how they balanced it out. For a long time, Doom was awful, which was good because the Doom spell is OP. But the moment Doom became okay again, it's like, all right, this hero, you should pick it as often as you can because it's really good.
Okay, well, look, I agree with you. One of the things I also love about Doom is the fact that in the late game, it just seems so good, right? Because if you can reach the point where you have a refresher orb, it's like a guaranteed one team fight whenever you have it, because as long as the game's even, you get Doom off on 2 targets. It makes the first target almost like a free one, because you're almost like you want the Tinker, right? But then you can use one on like the other core that just happened to be around the Jar Ranger. It's not as effective, but it still hurts, right? But okay, let's go through these bans. So with the Oracle and the Zeus ban, as well as the Grimstroke and the A, I'm surprised by the Zeus. It's a little bit of an interesting one, an interesting opener. The immediate response with the Hoodwink and Jakiro so far. Myrmidons wasted no time on picking up those two, Trent and Jakiro into the Hoodwink. I kind of prefer the opener for Guns and Rosé, and I kind of prefer their bans as well. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the Oracle Zeus ban. I really like taking out AA. I feel like that hero is also a little bit underpicked right now in the meta. Hoodwink, I really like the versatility of this hero. And in general, I always think you should try to open up your draft with a hero that can do many different things at once and fulfill many different roles.
You just praising versatility. What's wrong with Tiny? He's versatile. Look at him. He's got a big smile on his face now. Look into his beady little eyes. He loves you. How can you be mean to look? He's smiling.
Those eyes haunt my nightmares, Talbot. You know how many times I've seen those? That's the last thing I see before. Oh, and you're dead.
Oh, I love
you. And you're dead.
Yeah, love you. Don't be this way to me. That's Tiny speaking, not me. Yeah. Okay, your impression was probably better than mine.
All right. This is crazy though. Like in terms of versatility though, I don't like seeing Tiny just because I'm sick of it, but the hero itself is actually a great place to be picking it as well. You can open up yourself to have the opening safe lane pick, you can put it in the mid lane or the off lane. Don't prefer it as much in the off lane, but you can do it. Hell, it can be run as a 4 position, shifting this Hoodwink over to the 5. A lot of ways it can proceed in this draft. And the thing we've discussed this like myriad of times over the years, that if you open with your 2 supports, always pain and suffering. So Myrmidons gonna have a very difficult game because now Guns and Rosé can pretty much craft any kind of lane that they want. knowing what their likely matchups are going to be for themselves. And also, if I'm the carry player right now for Guns and Rosé, I'm looking at this draft. I'm like, dude, I actually don't care. Just give me this carry Tiny. There's very few drafts that I can imagine them putting together with Jakiro, Treant Protector as their supports that would legitimately threaten Tiny. So this opening just feels already so strong.
I don't want to say, I think it's still possible to rock the Jakiro in a 3 position, so maybe it is something that they know of or like to run, etc. I mean, I don't think it's great. I don't think it's one of like the 3 positions that we've seen in recent times, but it does still work because Jakiro just leaks damage, right? Like this hero like accidentally kills you. Like that's how it feels. Like, oh, I didn't realize I just killed their core because I dropped down a magnifier that he accidentally put a foot in and he just burned to death. So there's that. But I don't like Jakiro and Treant Protector together because although it's one of those like in theory this works so well because you like overgrowth, you toss the, but the reality is that like there are very few opportunities to actually get off like big wombo combos. Those are very chaotic at the moment, and saving spells for those perfect scenarios is often how you just get caught out. Where the Jakiro ends up getting jumped in the back line whilst you're looking for that perfect overgrowth. You never get the combo off, and you just take the L. But okay, they followed up with the Beastmaster and the Lich. I guess we can leave the bans alone. We have a lot to talk about, but. Again, just kind of solid pick for Guns and Rosé. I do prefer the Beastmaster. It's a better pick so far in their draft. Obviously, the Hawk gives a lot of vision. The ability of a BKB penetrating disable also very valuable. But they have made things hard. I think that makes it look very much like that's a support Jakiro, right? Because that's probably a 3 Beastmaster.
I'd be quite. I mean, they could still run the Jakiro mid, but I'd be quite surprised if they decided to do that.
And, really grasping at straws. Like
the balance of this draft is so weird right now because they have some degree of team fight, right, with the Jakiro Treant Protector, but like you mentioned, the combo actually landing off is fairly difficult to have happen reliably. But the big problem I have is they just have 0 initiation. The only way they start fights easily is by running up, dropping the Primal Roar with the Beastmaster, but after you've done that, like all the other spells, you need to be in perfect position to be able to land them properly and have them be effective in the fight for both the Jack and the Treant Protector. For Guns and Rosé, them with this Lich pick, it's an interesting idea because the Frost Shield seems pretty strong in this game, and it's a interesting like sort of pseudo soft counter to some of the Jakiros earlier on tick damage. You just get so much out of the Lich Frost armor, it doesn't really matter. Especially now paired up with the Juggernaut. This is the epitome of a safe lane. Jug is gonna be the carry in the game, but he's gonna experience 0 problems. That lane is against Beastmaster Jakiro. How do you even threaten Juggernaut? How do you stop his farming from happening? Any type of close-in potential doesn't really work. They've got the slows from the Lich, the magic immunity already. Sure, you have Primal Roar and you have Overgrowth, but these 2 spells, there's not that much follow-up from the rest of Myrmidons if they do catch the Juggernaut during his spin. Lycan, unless he's getting a really good game, probably won't have the physical damage early on to be able to supply to kill the Jug, and there's still the Lich to be able to supply additional Frost armor. So in general, like, I don't like Lich that much nowadays, but I think this is actually one of the few instances where I can definitely see it working, especially with Chain Frost, because of how all in they have to be from Myrmidons, Treant Protector, Beastmaster, Lycan. Everybody has to congregate on an area to do the damage in one place. Chain Frost either will kill them all or separates them and makes them far less effective in the fight, which is exactly what you want because you have so much pick-off potential. You've got Hoodwink, you've got Tiny, you've got Juggernaut. Easy ways to kill 1 or 2 heroes, move on to the next target, and it's much more difficult for Myrmidons to do the same at the exact same point in the game.
On top of this, I just want to say that there's another benefit to this Lich as well, is the fact that Myrmidons are going Zoo, and if they're going to go Zoo meta, you don't really want towers to just be more resilient. And that's a problem they don't have to deal with. I would love to see this Lich go like high levels into Frost Armor very early on, just drop that whenever they see a collection of Myrmidon players come together. Makes life very difficult. The wave clear on Guns and Rosé isn't actually great, because in theory you have time to just blow up entire creep waves, etc. But that is easier said than done, especially when you're potentially playing up against some sort of like 2 Helm of the Overlords, which I'm expecting to see at this point. And then obviously it's going to be very hard to take pressure, you actually get onto towers and take those towers yourself, because you're also playing against the Treant Protector. But I think this is going to be a Zoo, but that does make it interesting to see what they're going to wrap things up, because I think both teams are looking for their mid. Guns and Rosé are going to reveal there. It's going to be an Invoker, so there is your wave clear. I mean, that's going to work, but immediate response from Myrmidons. They're going to go for the Void Spirit, but that doesn't fit.
I mean, I suppose that they wanted to go with this Void Spirit to give them a little bit of tempo. They probably realized at this point in the draft, the thing we were talking about earlier with how slow this team can feel or how disjointed their initiation is, Void Spirit can kind of help them with that. They're not like wholly reliant on Primal Roar anymore. Void Spirit can make things happen for themselves. They really were lacking also with, like, they have big team fight, but their actual damage, like magical damage, is a little bit lacking outside of that Jakiro. So Void Spirit gives them a little bit more of that. And I suppose they wanted a hero that could have a decent lane versus the Joker, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like it solves some of the problems with the draft, but it doesn't solve everything, right? It feels like it's one of these games where he has to have that Dota and Die level performance that we saw last week, which was, go watch that VOD. Trust. It'll be worth it. But if anything shy of that, I feel like this is going to be a very difficult game for Myrmidons to play from.
I just, okay, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm pretty sure I didn't check. We were talking a lot about the picks, but I'm pretty sure the Shrek was still in the pool, and it would have given them magic damage that they needed. It would have given them something that worked very nice with their Zoo meta, something just to like push in aggressively, take towers. Obviously, it's not going to give you like an ultra winning lane against an Invoker, which they insta-picked this, so they didn't care, right? They didn't care what came out of mid. They were just like, we're picking this up. So it wasn't like they were like, okay, if they pick Invoker, we're going to pick this. They wouldn't, like maybe at a stretch, but yeah, I'm not sold with the way that they've wrapped things up here, but let's see if they can
prepare for
try
battle.
and fix my HUD first. But yeah, let's see if they can work. I mean, it's not like any of the heroes are terrible on paper. Like, you know, all these heroes kind of work in some way or another. You wouldn't be too surprised for any of them individually. Do they come together? I'm not entirely sold. I think I prefer their opponents, Guns and Rosé, have a better draft in my mind. We would agree as well.
I think that I definitely agree that Guns and Rosé, their draft is a lot clearer. It's a lot more streamlined and focused. All the heroes are doing different things in the game that still enable you to win. Got decent lanes, very safe lanes, but you know, they can't really apply that much pressure in their lanes, but they don't need to, right? All they need to do is secure farm for their heroes, and from there, these heroes can definitely carry this game. The only thing that there is some worry about is that this bottom lane, which I'm imagining is going to be the Hoodwink and the Tiny, there is very little potential to muscle the Lycan out of this lane, and Lycan is that one hero that can solo carry games. It's a rough game to solo carry, especially because he's not going to be playing with like a hero that he can obviously give wolf fight to assist him. But it's made a little bit easier by the fact that because the Tiny is playing from the off lane rather than the safe lane, there's not, you know, that overwhelming damage that comes from Tiny isn't going to be there anymore. Like when the phase of the game comes. So Lycan can actually, play these fights. It's not as difficult as playing into carry Tiny, playing into carry Jug. So there's hope, but it'll be an uphill climb. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, they got to play fast. I mean, they need to be in a situation where they're not allowing the likes of it. I mean, imagine if this Tiny decides to go like greedy and go for like a shard, right? So if Ryan over here decides that it's time to go shard, there's going to be a problem because they're going to, if he feels comfortable enough to do it, means game's going to that late stage where you're going to have a flash farm in the form of Tiny and a pretty strong, aggressive carry in the form of Juggernaut, and you're just going to win the late game eventually. And as you mentioned, without any kind of wolf bite, there's actually nothing. Like, what are you going to wolf bite the Void Spirit? Like, who cares?
Their late game is awful. They can't go late. Absolutely not. By the time you get to late game, you know, they will also have Alacrities to be worrying about from this Invoker. You know, the Hoodwink is also no slouch as time goes on. We still underestimate how much damage Sharpshooter does, and people still underestimate what happens when you get hit with Hunter's Boomerang. So they actually do not have the option to take this one late. They have to win it early. They've got to make things happen from the get-go. So Myrmidons, I'm expecting them to play very aggressively in this laning phase. If it goes south, it's a pretty much lost game from jump. But so far, so good. Lanes seem okay. There's not much pressure, as we mentioned, that can be applied from the side of Guns and Rosé. So they are exploiting this to make sure that the first 3-4 levels go quite well for them and they get as much CS as they can.
They're actually doing surprisingly well considering they have full melee, right? Like, you kind of expect the fact that they're at least playing to one range on each lane, but they have full melee that they have to contend with. That they would be struggling for losses a little bit more in the early stages, but they're actually, well, they're top 3 on the charts at the moment. Is it just me or is this in general low though? I feel like we're missing like a couple of double digits here.
It's in general overall low, but it's fine. It's fine. Double digits are about to get hit by Helsinki in the top lane as he finishes off this range creep. There we go. You got your doubles. It's okay.
First to 10, Snare.
Radiant's courier.
There we go. That's
It's a different type.
Lol. One thing I'm interested to see though is how they're gonna actually utilize this Hoodwink once they get to level 3. There is actually a little bit of kill pressure with level 2 spin on the Juggernaut as well as 2 points out into the Bushwhack. There is a little bit of kill threat up top and they might try to make it happen. Unfortunately though, with Achilles here, it becomes a little bit more difficult, right? Because at that point he might also have living armor, which just frustrates the impact of that happening. And he's just getting a quick D-ward here, making sure that they're blocking this camp. No easy pulls for you, they say.
Ah yes, the D-ward meta. I mean, glad to see them doing it, because again, like, this is something that you don't see as much in pubs as you probably should. You're actually fighting over this moment. It's like, okay, you win. I arrived with a sentry, you countered it. Well, I guess that's decided then, right? So
Fine.
we'll keep fighting over it. And Achilles actually going to steal 2 Koreas in the top lane. 2 Koreas in the top lane. Achilles.
Courier has been killed.
You know, he's probably going to walk this one off as well.
Oh, dude, he's not even
Actually,
gonna die, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually lane winning kind of plays here because they've been having such a good time in general over in the top lane that now that there's not going to be able to ferry out any more regen for a while, it's decidedly going to make them less likely to get aggressive. Although there's got a ton of regen left here. Hot Brass still has a full salve and a tango available for his Jug. Jug still has his own tango, so it's still a great pick though for Achilles. Makes life a little bit easier in the top lane, but because he had to leave the lane also, Helsinki doesn't seem can take full advantage, sadly. Unlike bottom where, you know, full advantage of the lane right now is being taken by the Tiny. He's getting what he can get. Unfortunately, he can't get too defense, or he can't like play too aggressive. Only has a Lich to back him up, but having a pretty solid start as well here from the off lane. I think he'll be obviously not as hot as the Beastmasters, but given that their timing is so much later in the game, I feel like Guns and Rosé are probably quite okay with like a bit of a slower start here, given that their peak is much later on. They're not really stressed as long as they're not dying.
I mean, that's fair enough. I would be stressed though, because actually, this is worse than you want it to be though, right? I mean, the Void Spirit is crushing Invoker mid, and that's one of the big things to me is that, like, sure, you can afford to be in a position where you know you have the late game on your side, you can play towards that, you don't have to take any unnecessary risks or make any unforced errors in the early parts of the game, but like, your Invoker's 16 for 2, the Void Spirit's sitting at 24 for 5. It's probably going to get worse, and one of the big issues here as well is that he gets kill potential level 6, and Wobble doesn't really have a way to kill the Void Spirit at this point. I mean, he needs an earn out at least before he can really threaten, but he does have it, but he needs some charges at the very least.
He's gonna definitely need some help, but this is also where the nature of their support starts to become a problem, where in terms of rotations, these heroes don't really move up and make things happen elsewhere across the map. To be fair, it's a critique that can be levied towards both teams, but right now it's a little bit more impactful for the Guns and Rosé lineup, given that, like you say, the Invoker having such a tough time in the mid lane, gonna be playing an uphill battle, and now have to play very carefully. Level 6 is up on the Void Spirit. Mischief is gonna try go in immediately.
EMP cancel as well to do just one, but I decided not to go further than that. I would like to see Wobble use his Magic 6 charges a little more aggressively. He's somewhat, I would say, hesitant to use them, but he's building up a lot of stacks and a lot of chances to just burn through them a little more. Bottom lane, however, they're going to go in with the Ice Path onto Ryan. He's going to back off. They get the rotation coming from Wobble. Tornado goes through. Doesn't have a huge amount of mana, nor does he have the earn charges, but they do have Cold Snap out. Damage out onto Tiny. He misses his toss. They're going to turn this one back around. They got Dual Breath out, and they'll bring down the first kill of the game. Ice Path on it too. In comes Mischief as well. Wobble will go down 3-0. Well, Snare. Maybe an unforced error that we were just discussing. I don't know about the rotation. Does not work out. Top lane, it's not over. Potatoes, you can be run down here. Gets out the kitty. That should be the end of it.
Oof, my goodness. Healing Ward at the very last second saves his life, but actually, Kitty's trying to come in from the backline and maybe snipe the Healing Ward out. But definitely an unforced error down bottom. Wobble moves not just in a situation where he's low on health, but low on mana. When you're an Invoker coming into the lane in that way, you're low on health and mana. Your Tiny practically has no mana left. The Lich is very far out of position. Just a very poor time to show up. And, you know, sometimes you make a rotation, you realize, hey, gang, I messed this one up. Let's just let it go. But we were mentioning it sort of earlier in the pregame about how sometimes at the lower level of Dota, the whole team is just going in on the idea. Like, you don't consider whether or not it's a good idea. It's just important that you move as a unit, which, you know, there are pros and cons to. Situation there that happened right now at bottom. absolute con, because not only do they lose 3 heroes, consider the heroes they lose them too. Lycan involved in all 3 kills, getting a ton of experience, getting a ton of farm. The Void Spirit, very successful rotation himself, and he gets a kill on the opposing mid in the process, and he gets back to the mid lane faster than his opponent. Like, if they end up losing this game, it might wind up being a cascading effect from that one rotation. And also, you know, potentially this rotation from Mischief, who's trying to use the haste rune up top.
Yeah, so they're going to do what they can, but let's see if they can make it work. At the moment, they probably don't even need this to pay off. They're that far ahead, but they will get the Hoodwink to toss out an unnecessary spell onto Achilles. That means that they have less to work with. Bramwell comes out in Potato, and the Juggernaut is brought down pretty easy. In comes the rotation from Wobble now. They got the MP out as well. He's got Cold Snap off onto Helsinki. Helsinki back up. He's taking a lot of damage from that tower. Does have help from Mischief again. He gets off some good amount of damage on the back lines, but he's going to have to back off. They're not going to get anything more for this. However, they do kill the Tiny and the Lich bottom lane. Squeeze me.
Lich got level 6. I mean, not Lich, excuse me. Lycan got level 6. He went into the shapeshift. They utilized that at the same time as they went with the Ice Path. It caught both. It was, yeah, wasn't pretty. It was very painful.
Well, they're going back in on top lane. Hot Brass being hunted down by Mischief. He's running around in the tree line. Can he find him? Still looking for that engagement. He's got the Aetherium Tap, but Hot Brass is going to get out of harm's way. However, will Wobble have the same luck? He's got the Ghost Walk out. Immediately has to get out of it, though, because the smoke... The dust was there. Actually managed to get off an own charge onto Mischief, but I don't think there's anything in this. Doesn't have mana for a Sunstrike or anything like that, so...
Fortunately for him, there's no mana available at Helsinki either, so he gets to escape. Oh wait, look at this! Oh my gosh! It's the Smasher!
Is this real life? I think he just died. Oh no.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, this is not a fun place to be right now. If you are a Guns and Rosé fan, you will not be happy. Bottom lane.
Worse now. Go for it.
Oh no, Tiny. Macropire pops him out. He's probably going to be able to walk this one off. Nope. The tiny little wolves will be there. They even show up with the Juggernaut here, throwing out the Omni Slash. And GG Slash will help them get a kill onto the Jack, but... Hashtag worth, Halbert? Hashtag worth? I don't think so.
Look, I will say this much. There's like a mindset that I think is important to sometimes get beyond. Is that like, can we even kill these guys? Are they human? Do they die? So getting yourself onto the scoreboard, I think, is important. And there isn't a huge amount going well for them in the lane phase. There's a lot of pressure on the top lane. You can see that every time they move somebody up there, it's caused problems. So they need to secure this bottom lane for Potato. That's the only way they're going to find farm. He's, however, making his way towards the mid lane where you're going to spot out Mischief, but then he's just going to go and farm instead, which is fine. Potato just his farm. I mean, there's no stress, man. You got. As long as you can make this game last 40 minutes, you golden. Bottom lane have they're gonna run down the Lich again, and well, they're just brawling underneath the tower. But there's no ways for Tiny to finish the job. He even kills the creep. Like that's okay.
Oh,
he's toying with his food.
He almost got caught out though. The sharpshooter hit from Hot Brass just barely missed him. Had that clipped him, he might have actually died like from that hit with the tree throw, but fortunately they just lacked the damage overall. And this Lycan is just styling on everybody, having a phenomenal performance, already moving in towards having as many stat items as possible for the game. I think as well, once he's finished off the full Helm of the Overlord, Beastmaster doesn't really need it anymore. In top lane, Wobble, this is so bad. So Wobble dies again in the top lane, but to make matters worse, this is a death where Wobble is just sitting top. Like, this lane is dead, it's abandoned, you can't really do anything as the Invoker here. But because he's here and the Juggernaut is middle, that means Invoker's not getting any farm. Tiny's still stuck in a farmless position down bottom. Sure, Juggernaut's having an okay time, but okay time for one hero in the game when things are going, like you said, poorly for everyone, everywhere, in all their lanes. Doesn't feel like it really cuts it, especially when the game seems so easy. Look at Helsinki top. You mentioned the double Helm of the Overlord, he's building it up and solo pressuring a tier 2 tower here, Halbert.
Yeah, this is a massive problem because, okay, so they do bring in Wobble, he's going to get out the Cold Snap, has the Omen as well. No additional rotations coming. Eventually they do bring the Hoodwink, but it's just too late. And look, when they have two Helm of the Overlords out, they don't have an answer to it. They don't have an answer to potentially like a combination of the Ancient Granite Golem and the Ancient Black Dragon. There's just too much HP on the field at that point. Too much sieging potential, and they don't have to put themselves at risk at all. And it's going to come in even a little bit faster as they go mid lane to apply pressure and bring down this T1 tower. So they've got all the objectives done. Like this is a clockwork. This is a well, it's a perfectly timed performance. Mischief, however, caught out by Titania on the sidelines, will go down. Wobble trying to limp through the nature's grass, and in comes Mariah with a nice double ice path. Wobble still trying to limp away. Out comes a Chain Frost. Will finish off one. He'll pull back Jakiro into him. Does get one more connection with that Chain Frost. And get a couple of kills in the mid lane. So finally, something going the way
Dire structures
of
are
a side that desperately needs it in Guns and Rosé.
But sadly, it also comes at a heavy cost. They end up losing the tier 1 tower in the mid lane, and they lost the Juggernaut beforehand. The push that came in to take the tower, we saw the Jug by himself. He's about to die top again.
Yeah, caught up by the Primal Roar, and, well, he does get off the Omni Slash, but this doesn't tickle him. Helsinki might cost him a Primal Roar, but he's okay with this, because one of the tools that are available to his opponents come back in this game, now on the deck for another solid 2 minutes, and his roll will be up before that.
Yeah, Potato can't play the map right now. He pretty much has to play only in front of towers or deeper in the jungle. As long as Helsinki is playing in front of him, as long as he doesn't have the Omni Slash, just has to play hyper defensively, and that's not where you want to be right now, since there's so little farm that's available to you. Tiny time again.
As caught out, does have the— oh no! Stack corrected, maybe! Or maybe not! They're still keeping this man line. Ryan, run for it! You've done so well! But there's an angry wolf after he finishes the job and they have to bail out. There was a moment of brilliance. The Hoodwink set things up so nicely, but they just didn't have the damage output. That's not an Exort Invoker. So even though Meatball hit, it was more like the budget kind you get out of a soup can or something. It just wasn't that good.
It was a meatball without the spaghetti. Worthless. What the hell was the point, you know? That was so tragic. I feel like if that fight, that just gives you so much hope, right? Situations like that when you're playing in a game from this far behind, you're like, oh my gosh, that's the fight that we needed. Now maybe we can turn things around. Look at how big the stun was, but the problem when you're this far behind is you can have all the setup you want. There's no follow-up, and they have plenty of follow-up themselves here on the side of Myrmidons. They take the tier 2 tower in the top lane. Look how farmed everybody is. Helsinki. Wait, is this the full Overload or just the Vlads? Okay, I think it's just Vlads that's coming. But they just have so many items flowing in right now that doesn't feel like they'll be able to deal with on the side of Guns and Rosé, like this time with the Overload on Lycan. So I don't think he dies. He's got too many stats right now.
I mean, they're really investing on this one. They do have him slowed down. Out comes the Deafening Blast as well. Avalanche there. They got the toss available. The Sharpshooter. Why won't you die? Out comes the Jakiro Ice Path into the Macafire. They're burning alive. And Achilles in the backline gets off the Overgrowth as well. Hot Brass wants up. Take a Roar to the face instead. They finally kill the Lycan, but we say at what cost? Well, potentially everything. In they go with Mischief onto Ryan. He's backing off, does keep himself alive in the tree line, but this man is being hunted. Are they going to let him go? Mariah Kieran Co, are you going to be merciful? Looks like it. No, maybe?
No way. No way.
This
Okay,
is still going on. Okay. Oh, we got him. We got him, guys. We've caught out the Tiny, finally. We should kill him eventually. I promise eventually. Out comes the Avalanche. Don't worry, Tiny. We will make sure that eventually you get to respawn. There we go. How long did that take?
About as long as it took the entire Guns and Rosé side to kill Lycan, although not as long as it'll take him to kill Helsinki.
He's in trouble, got caught out. Got the tomato in the front lines, trying to buy him a bit of time, but no mana. Means that just gets fed off as well.
The fight was crazy, honestly. Guns and Rosé, you know, right now, honestly, if they didn't get given and gifted this Helsinki kill, they would have been in a very negative position, having to commit pretty much the whole team just for the kill onto the Lycan. Sure, you try to rationalize it to yourself by saying, well, this Lycan is by far the most farmed hero in the entire game, so if he gets brought down, it's worth it given what we gain from the gold advantage, but just the way that the map is set up right now, how much they had to commit for it, and now they're going to end up losing this tier 2 tower in the mid lane anyway, and because they had to commit so much earlier, they don't have the— oh, Chainford's almost back. Okay, never mind. Is that how long they took to kill Tiny? Shout out to him.
Yeah, he made space, right? I mean, at the very least. Taking damage though next to his tower as well, and try slowly, very slowly hit the gate up on it. Almost hit the creeps. Back lines, Achilles probing, does not care or respect those tier 2 towers. Playing for the tier 3s clearly. Sharpshooter goes through, but does miss its mark. However, Tiny on the front lines does get the Avalanche off. He's going caught up by, well, X marks the spot, and it's not Kunka that's doing it this time around. Ice Path and Ice Wall down.
So many icy spells, but doesn't seem like they can actually find the clean initiation here. Unfortunately, Mischief missed, I think, 3 or 4 Aether Remnants there. Feels pretty bad whenever that happens, so unable to catch their quarry, everybody ends up escaping. they won't feel too hard done by because they can't pressure the tier 2 middle, but they can still pressure bottom. They got some vision behind the tier 2 while still moving forward with Achilles, so they can easily scout out any rotations coming bottom. Furthermore, once they try to look for these high ground takes, they'll be able to scout out heroes who try to move in from the outside of the base to try and catch them in a pincer move. So it's not all lost, it's all good. They still get the tower, and they might still find a good fight here because they're in a dangerous place, Guns and Rosé.
Yeah, they're getting caught up the high ground. Overgrowth will hit onto a couple. This time Ethereum can't possibly miss. They control this tiny well. Again, Sharpshooter misses its mark. And the Chain Frost bounces unkindly, to be perfectly honest. Nothing but crap.
I feel like, you know, for him at this situation, it's probably a little bit better. It hit creeps, you get some gold out of it because it would have just done 0 damage to heroes.
Oh, well, about that damage. It's going to be delivered by one side for sure. I mean, at the moment, it really does look like they are just styling on their opponents. Myrmidon, I'm sure they must have both. Hell yeah, they got HOD2s up on both their two. I mean, do you know the biggest problem they had was at a point they had 2 Vlads in the game. Like, that's probably the hardest this has been for them.
Like, oh, we have to have a double Vlads, but now, oh, Ethereum hits.
They're going to catch up the Primal Roar again on Sunny. He's been trying to create some space, but he's just not able to really do anything that's providing an opportunity for this Protector Juggernaut to just make his mark. And now he's going to be bottled into his base. They've got all the tier 2 towers now, and all that's left to do is really collect the reward of the outpost and start choking out the opponents. But we spoke about this, Snare. Going up the high ground is a different affair entirely, and well, they're going to try ward it up, try to get some vision up there to deal with the potential defenders. Tiny is already down, so they potentially make themselves a little bit more comfortable going up the high ground. But who cares? I mean, you don't have to. I mean, who cares? Nothing is at risk here.
Yeah, Potato, look at this. There's no damage. He's actually gonna die after this, maybe.
They actually, yeah, he's lucky he didn't have the wall in that case. In comes the Overgrowth from the Trip Taker. Wasn't quite able to get it, but they do have the Void Spirit down onto Wobble. The damage not quite enough, but they might be able to finish the job and do. And now the racks under siege. 19 minutes in, and well, let's be frank, this is that time, you know, speaking about Zoo meta.
Yep.
Who needed a mid? I wasn't a massive fan of the Void Spirit pick. I didn't feel like it added a huge amount of value to this game, if I'm totally honest, but it didn't matter.
I mean, you know what's the best thing to have a Void Spirit? When your game starts, not just with winning your lane, but with being involved in the opening 3 kills of the game, of your first rotation, you know the game can't go south from that point. It's just gonna be smooth sailing. But he might die here.
I think he just cast cursed him. Oh! Not going to connect with the Sharpshooter. Out comes the Overgrowth onto 2 as well. They try to get the Jakiro into position to get up the double ice path. Does do so. Doesn't have Magpie, but they do have nice damage on Potato. He starts to turn his attention to Achilles. Will get rid of the kitty, but damage is done. They picked up the racks. EMP flies through from Wobble, kind of stalking Mariah Carey, who's trying to make his way onto the low ground. Does have the pig out available, but he's going to be pulled straight back in. Some say she will make sure of it, but unfortunately for Guns and Rosé, they've lost the second racks. Second lane of racks. The melee still stands, I guess. How do you say this? 1.5.
1.5, you know. It's one of these. This is the epitome of a Pyrrhic victory, right? You manage to force them back, you kill their 2 supports, you feel good about this, but the base is in shambles. It's 20 minutes in, and we were talking earlier in the game, right, about like ways to wave clear and deep push. Invoker is supposed to help fulfill that role, but he's had a very difficult time playing this game out. Sure, he does have the levels to be able to help out with that, but outside of him, Tiny doesn't really have that many stats right now to propose an actual threat to a super creep wave. The Juggernaut only now has Maelstrom building into SNY, but also doesn't have the easiest time pushing back super creeps. So it feels like this is just the opening chapter to losing the game outright. Because let's be honest, right? That secondary push up onto the high ground in the top lane that came in from Myrmidon was definitely a lot sloppier than their push through the mid lane. So if they just tighten up again and play cleanly, then I find it very difficult for them to defend this on the side of Guns and Rosé, despite the fact that they're doing this with no Aegis. Roshan hasn't been touched the whole game, but that's how far ahead they are. They're like, meh, who needs the big man? We just big ourselves, we've got this.
Well, you can't put an Omen. Roll comes out onto Tiny again. He's trying to stand at the front line. He'll drop down the Meteor. It's not doing a huge amount of damage, but does at least hurt the Lycan. Do have the Void Spirit on the front line, so he's going to back off for the time being, but surprise, surprise, those Ancients going to work. They have the Omni Slash doing a lot of work onto the Lycanthrope. But in the end, they don't finish the job. And even though the Chain Frost now follows up, it hasn't brought down a single foe. They will lose the Lich though, and Achilles stumbles in. He'll be caught by a Deafening Blast, but they're fighting on top of the Magnifier. They'll bring down 3, and Mischief now wants to bring down Wobble. The buybacks start coming. The Tornado is beautiful, but there's just nothing to back it up at the moment. 2 buybacks come in. Tiny, waiting on the edges, wants to make something of it, wants to make one final stand. But Myrmidons, totally unrelenting. Your acts belong to us, and this game does too.
So good right now. They're buying back on mass, but none of these heroes will be able to do anything with these buybacks, Albert. They're just waiting for Protato to come back, but even if he does, they don't have enough damage to force something to happen here.
Oh, Tornado again goes in well. Meteor will not combine with it though. 8th Remnant this time will latch onto some say she. And again, we see a buyback. This time, however, it's from the Jakiro. Clearly, Myrmidons want to finish things off here. Hot Grass takes a little bit of damage from the Void Spirit, but he's being bailed out at the moment because he's got 2 Ancients and a little dragon in the form of a ball beating down on Wobble. And Wobble is really suffering to deal with these creeps. I mean, if you want to see Zoo done well, this is probably as good as it's going to get. They can't deal with the summons, and they rarely have to put any hero's life at risk. I say this, Mischief! What are you doing there? That's the wrong side of the map, buddy! You haven't conquered it yet. You gotta take down the Ancients first.
He got overhyped by that Dota and Die series. He's been feeling himself, you know, these last few minutes have looked pretty good for him, so I can understand why he decided to make that jump. But what was really impressive for me was the fact that they made this happen without actually involving the Lycan. For the most part, he was just posted up mid, pushing down the melee rack. So they secured the full set, they've got the full megas, and some say sadly she ends up getting the Chain Frost, Sinister Gaze rather, onto the wrong target instead of dragging back the Jakiro, dragging back the creep. So now you're in a really awful position to be in. You don't have enough wave here. Oh, hold on.
I know the fight's going on, but I have the real questions for you now. How on earth they deny that Hawk when no one was around it? It's like, I think they tossed something onto the Hawk which denied it or something like that. I don't know if you caught that, but it was...
Did not see that. No, we're gonna have to check the replay on that one. What?
It was weird. Anyways, not that it matters, but I think this is mostly decided as Myrmidons will start to wrap things up again. They're just running directly at them. This is the age-old StarCraft technique of clicking aggressively in your opponent's base and watch it disappear. And that's exactly what's going to happen. 30-13, 18k net with me at 24 minutes. And honestly, that's about as good as you're going to see Zoo executed. They hit every single timing they were supposed to. Very fast Helm of the Overlords up. They brought down the mid and safe lane tower within 12 minutes. And did they even lose a tower that game?
I don't think so, no. I don't actually, not sure that they lost anything. Like, it just felt... Honestly, we were talking earlier on about like the various timings that teams reach, right? And we're talking about how Myrmidons, their timing is obviously a lot sooner, Guns and Rosé a lot later. And because they have that later timing, you'd expect that they could play a little bit more further back, a little bit more composed. But Myrmidons not only were able to have a perfect start to the game, right? All 3 lanes were perfect. All 3 lanes started in a very good farming position. Mid lane especially went really, really well. I don't think it's supposed to be that Void Spirit favored. The first rotation from Void Spirit is perfect. They're able to muscle out Juggernaut from the top lane very early. After doing that, Tiny gets completely dumpstered in the bottom lane. Like, the Tiny got nothing out of the game, right? And the thing is, when you're playing offlane Tiny, you don't have the luxury of trying to go back, farm. You're the one that's supposed to create space. Because he doesn't have a Blink Dagger, there's no force offs on the team. We saw that pretty much all the kills Guns and Rosé got were in situations where Myrmidons is running at them, and they make some mistakes, and then they end up conceding heroes in that situation. The only one situation where we saw Guns and Rosé go on the offensive and do something for themselves was the ill-fated attempt to kill Lycan, and they succeeded, but it took a lot. And at that point in the game, it's just like, well, all right, we can't actually get the necessary items to allow us to get to the late game timing that our team needs. And at the same time, because we lack the ability to get that farm, we can't stop you in the time of the game where you're very strong. Like you said, early, very fast Helm of the Overlords. Perfect pickups as well on their Ancients. They got a Black Dragon and an Ancient Thunderhide. Very quickly make mincemeat of the towers, right? And then, after they've taken all the tier 2 towers, they swap out the Thunderhide for the Granite Golem so that they have the additional siege potential going up the hill. And we saw it helped out. Lycan almost died in that situation, but he did it. clearly this team understood how to use their summons, how to use the push, how to use their timings for that push. And they did it well. And it's lovely to see them do it like this, right? Because, you know, I was talking earlier about usages of vision and map control. Helsinki, although it might not have been the key cornerstone of what they were doing in this game, they did a really bang-up job of making sure that they had very clear vision all the time of the Guns and Rosé heroes. It felt like it was, honestly, they were playing with map hacks. Every time they'd go in for a fight, Mischief knew exactly who to go on, where they were, who the allies are around him. Just easiest way to play Dota, and Myrmidons felt like they barely broke a sweat doing it.
100%. But there's something that we need to break tonight, Snare, and that's hearts. And you might be wondering, Talbot, why would we need to break hearts tonight? Well, let me tell you why. Because of everyone out there, only one person is going to win a very special EveTech Spaceman mousepad. You're wondering where I was going with this, but there we go, guys. It's time for some free stuff. So the keyword tonight, and now let's get this right. Now, how many times do we say the keyword, Snare?
How many times? Once.
Once.
Say it once.
What
That's
happens
it.
if you say it more than once, Snare?
Then it doesn't count because you've broken the rules.
And let's make this very clear. It doesn't count at all. You can't say it 3 times to make it count again. You can't do odd numbers and then all of a sudden it'll work. No, just once. And of course, that keyword is EGL1. It's open only to South African citizens and residents, so just bear that in mind. But probably just residents now that I think about it. I don't think they really care if you're a citizen, but you probably should be a citizen, right? But I digress. The point is, if you live in South Africa, type EGL1 in the chat and stand a chance to win yourself an EGL1 EveTech Spaceman mousepad. And yeah, they're actually pretty cool, I must say. I feel like a connection with this, because I probably would have called myself Spaceman if I had not called myself Hellbird, which I've regretted for many years.
It's late now for you, bro.
Yeah, I tried. Hey, I tried to change to Devon at some stage, and just...
Well, on the bright side, you have a name for your son, if you have a kid.
Son, I brought you into this world, and I only ask of you one thing. To play Dota 3, to call yourself Spaceman. Yes, we're not too far away from Game 2. Let's just keep it rolling. I'm sure you and I have the lungs for this, right? What is your want for this game? Like, how would you like to see this go differently for Guns and Rosé?
So, big thing for me, it's pretty clear that I think what went wrong for them is it feels like this is a team that needs to be able to get kills, right? When I saw their draft initially, I thought that it was on purpose, going for like Hoodwink Glitch to try and specifically play things at a lot slower tempo, hold back, make sure that the pressure is held in the lanes to give Tiny and Juggernaut the best starts. But clearly they have a hard time doing that. And we could see from some of their earlier movements that they just don't have that kind of temperament, right, to play that slower style. So from jump, I want their draft to be a lot faster paced. I want them to have the ability to actually respond. So fewer liches, more heroes like Lion, for example. The Juggernaut can...
I know you're out there.
You know,
They
exactly.
recommend it.
You know, the Tiny, if they do pick it again, it should go mid or safe lane. I've always hated Tiny in the off lane. And one of the reasons I hate Tiny in the off lane is, I mean, to be fair, this is sort of an outlier game, but I've seen games like this with Tiny where you have him in this off lane position, he has a bad start, and then there's just no way back into the game for him. So they need to figure out a way to make sure that there is that way back for whatever hero they put into the off lane. So get heroes that might not necessarily need farm, they just need levels to be able to be effective from that role. And especially from the mid lane, they need a winning matchup. I don't think that Wobble is the kind of player that can play from behind. It felt very much like, you know, you can just see how certain players move, that they need to be ahead, that they can't be playing a recovery game. It's overall that same thing for the team, but especially for Wobble. Give him Lina, give him Leshrac, give him Storm Spirit, Ember Spirit. Some of these kind of heroes that will allow him to not be always playing from a position of trying to catch up. They can actually set the tempo for the game going forward. And, you know, this early... I'm also loving the fact that Myrmidons, from a win, you know, sometimes you see teams win and then they decide, all right, we're going to try to do radically different stuff. For them, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ban Oracle. Okay, this time around they ban Ogre instead of Zeus, but similar principle, right? They're removing heroes that can actually help Guns and Rosé in the laning phase, because they probably understand from that first game that, guys, as long as we control the lanes, we're going to win the game. Guns and Rosé aren't the team that's going to come back from that position.
10
I wonder
seconds
though,
remaining.
like, with this A ban that's twice in a row from Guns and Rosé, if they're going to try the jug or something again, because it's like, it's oddly specific that they'll do it twice in a row in the first like stage like this. And it's not like the Mag or the Tiny or the Lycan, like these heroes you're banning on principle. It's something else. But what is interesting actually is Guns and Rosé banned out a Grimstroke, if I'm not mistaken, in the first round, and this was immediately picked up by Myrmidons. So I wonder if they knew something about the Grimstroke that we did not.
Yeah, it seems that way, that there must be some kind of understanding that they have about this hero on the side of Myrmidons that Guns N' Roses know about and that they exploit in a way. I mean, in the last game, I could definitely see Grimstroke being there. This I love a lot though. Thank goodness. Snapfire. This actually, I didn't mention this in the first game, but Hoodwink, one of the reasons why we very rarely saw Hoodwink at TI was because why would you pick Hoodwink when there's Snapfire in the game? Like, gives you a free 4-star, you have a bunch of magic damage later on once you hit 6. That's also a place they struggled. Their 6s weren't, like, they were good, but they would struggle to utilize them well in the previous game. So now it's a lot easier, right? Snapfire, Witch Doctor, interesting pickup. Not a fan of Witch Doctor right now. There's a...
Don't care about the Witch Doctor, Snare. I don't care about the Witch Doctor. I don't care about anything anymore. Other than the fact that they just got Soulbind Doom going. Oh man, I was talking before about like if the game goes long enough. Who needs the game to go long enough? Well, you can win in 10 now. You just got to level 6 on both these heroes. That is that is dirty. Let me check the rule books. I need a Wookiee in here. I don't know if this is fair. This doesn't seem right. You know what this is some custom hero arena BS. That's what this is.
Listen, for me, not actually scarier than Double Doom is scary, right? But on the bright side, you know, if there can be a bright side of Double Doom existing, it's that the cooldowns necessary to make that happen are fairly large, right? On both, like the Grimstroke cooldown's like whatever, but Doom is a substantial cooldown, so it's not that often that it happens. What does happen often though, whenever I see this duo together, is once Doom buys Blink Dagger either from mid or the offlane, Blink with the Inkswell from Grimstroke, plus a Centaur Conqueror that's been devoured, it is an obscene amount of chain stun. You get blinked on, you take a lot of damage, and then before you know it, and then Doom doesn't even have to use Doom. Then you actually kind of want to bait him into using it, doesn't need to. They've got more than enough damage to kill you. And if this is the lane they want to put together, Grimstroke Doom, this is one of the better lanes for Grimstroke especially. But I have a suspicion this will probably go... They actually might pick Juggernaut themselves. Actually, yo, Myrmidons, yo, y'all should pick Juggernaut. Y'all should pick Juggernaut.
I like where this is going, right? So you go Juggernaut, Lina, and Line, right? You make it work somehow. You literally just all cost your ulti. Two very unfortunate people. But what happens is you hold back on the Doom, right? You hold back on the Doom. So what happens is those heroes blow up so fast that the Soulbind connects to 2 more heroes who then tank the 2 Dooms. How to wipe out 4 heroes? And there's just one really sad support like, okay.
5 seconds remaining.
Okay. I like it.
Honestly, both these supports are sad this game. Neither of them are having a good time. This helps a bit though. Get some team fight for yourself with the time. Oh, and they banned Lina, so Guns and Rosé not gonna allow the dream to be real. They've taken it away from us.
Okay.
Oh god. Alright, I'm done.
Wow. Well.
I didn't even want to mention this hero's name for fear that it would summon him, right? Freaking Elder Titan. Honestly, in my opinion, the best hero in Dota 2 right now. So, Myrmidons, easy game from here. Not that easy, you know, it's not 100% win rate for a reason, but there's just so many good things that this hero brings to the table. It seems like it's going to be played from the offlane hero, so that puts Doom middle. So with Doom being middle, which I prefer in general when this hero is being played, between himself and the Elder Titan, they have an insane amount of tank ability. Not only do they have an insane amount of tank ability, but they have so many easy ways of, when they get forward, making sure that the heroes that they jump on will die in the blink of an eye. You've got the Doom for the team fight. You've got Elder Titan with the Splitter. Splitter, amazing against heroes like Tidehunter, Raid King. High strength gain, high HP heroes overall. Suffer massively against that. And to make matters worse, you're playing a game with a Shadow Demon. So taking away your base magic resistance while there's a Shadow Demon in the game, definitely going to make your life a lot easier. And also, if you get Ags on this Elder Titan, if you ever get Ags, they have no answers on the side of Guns and Rosé at all. Like a Spirit drag through Ags magic immunity, that's done. The fight is over. They always have to run away. And it feels like right now, Guns and Rosé, the game is all about, can we survive or can we get into a dominant position before Doom gets BKB, before ET gets Aghanim Scepter, and before whatever other safe laner gets BKB. Because if they get BKB, that's it. Like, there's no team fight available from Guns and Rosé. This Witch Doctor, sure, you've got the ultimate, but there's so many ways right now from Myrmidons to cancel that out. Echo Stomp, Disruption, Phantom's Embrace. Ways to, from far away, stop the ults from being effective. Once the BKBs do come out, Snapfire does nothing, Tidehunter does nothing. Wraith King, it's going to take a while before he really feels in position to play this game. That is the one pick I do like, though, because the Wraith King into the Doom matchup, it used to be a thing of where if you pick Doom and you wanted to lose the game, right, then you don't ban Wraith King. In this game, they happen to have, like, they have enough covers to make that a little bit easier. But Wraith King is definitely the one, like, there's a lot more pressure onto Potato than there was in game 1 with this pick, given how important it's going to be for him to have a good game. Because if he has a bad game on this Wraith King, there's nothing, like, literally nothing that they have left on Guns and Rosé.
So to be the, I guess, the advocate of Guns and Rosé for this fight, I will say this much. So Doom obviously is a counter to Tidehunter as well. And it's very possible that you can station your Tidehunter on the front lines like you traditionally would and bait out the Doom onto Tidehunter to give your Wraith King 2 full lives of just fighting. He's got insane backup with the Snapfire and the Witch Doctor in the sense that you do have Mortimer being able to lay the smack down onto pretty much all those squishy supports in the form of the Grimstroke and the Shadow Demon. And let's be fair, Witch Doctor is also very good against some of the tanky heroes in the game, so the Doom and the Elder Titan will suffer towards that Maledict. But I have to agree, at the end of the day, oh, okay, never mind. This game's done. Okay, so you break the Tidehunter. You break the Tidehunter with Sharpshooter, right? Think about it, right? So that's a one position hoodwink.
No, this is gonna be mid hoodwink, safe lane 2.
So fine, could be that as well. But
10 seconds.
you have the break onto the Tidehunter, which means you no longer have to commit the Doom, right? Which means at that point you just Doom anything that isn't the Wraith King and you've won the game.
Also, you have not just that. So you're talking like the Wombo comp that they have from Guns and Rosé. They have to perfect it every single time, right? Because if they don't catch Shadow Demon, then whichever the key target is gets saved every single time. Wraith King has now so many ways to kite this hero out. My goodness, I don't want to be playing Wraith King here in this game. You need to rush BKB, but even when you do get the BKB, then we just wait for you to use BKB and doom you, whatever. We have enough to be able to deal with the rest of the team. Between Elder Titan and Hoodwink, Tidehunter doesn't have a game. There's also just so much damage, Halbert. My gosh, this is a bit disgusting. If this is the Hoodwink in the mid lane as I'm expecting, then he just gets off online so quickly that the damage potential, hell, you can use Shadow Demon to set you up for damage from far. And yep, oh, it's actually gonna be, it is Hoodwink mid lane. Right. As expected,
You called it.
Oh, this puck though, at the very least, right? It's not an easy puck game by any stretch of the imagination, but at the very least, it is non-ultimate setup, which is also part of the problem that they had with the draft beforehand. It was fairly difficult for them to start fights without utilizing long cooldowns on this Ravage. You know, honestly, popping Dream Coil, whatever, sometimes you don't even end up needing it in the fight, especially if you do land a good Maledict out. Maledict plus puck damage is actually quite a lot, so at the very least, the earlier rotations from Wobble do have some currency, right? You go to the Witch Doctor lane, you get Maledict, go to the Snapfire lane, you get the Little Shredder as well as the Young Cookie to move you forward and an additional stun, so the game is immediately easier for the puck. And of course, now Helsinki has to decide, who am I dooming? Until I have the refresher, I can't always doom Tidehunter. It might be better to doom Puck, but sometimes Puck can get away with the skin of his teeth. So provided he never gets caught with Phantom's Embrace or with Doom, I think this might actually be one of the better games for Wobble. This actually, in terms of all the heroes that were left in the game, this makes some of the most sense to me. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, look, I will say this as well, is that you did need a playmaker on the side of Guns and Rosé. So the fact that they do have a puck now means they have something to cause some trouble that isn't just hiding behind the Tidehunter, so I'll give them that much. And I'll also say that the Myrmidons don't have a traditional late game hero that can win the game. I say traditional because One Punch Man over here, like, he doesn't care about cores and carries and that kind of stuff. It's like all the times like lost in this weird kind of bubble of like, I don't know, self-belief or something. Just like, guys, if I believe hard enough as a sport player, I can one-shot cores. And in this case, he can. And that's kind of where the problem comes in, is that although they don't have a traditional super late game carry or anything like that, this guy can just mult heroes anyways. And even up against a Wraith King,
Like you want to say that, oh no, Red King's got this, but you're like, who's gonna go after him? Who's gonna one punch Madness? He's gonna briefcase him out of the Dotaverse. So,
You know what makes it even better? That's not what I'm most excited about. This is safe lane One Punch Man. Helsinki's playing the Doom. He's going bottom. So, Elder Titan safe lane, baby. Elder Titan safe lane.
This is a pause. Oh my soul, it's a pause one.
Yes.
Elder Titan.
30 seconds.
Pause 1
to battle.
ET. This is
Okay.
safe, actually.
Do you know? I just imagine Traxion out there's like reinstalling Dota like at like very fast speeds. Like he's just. Do you remember those like old PCs that used to have like the turbo on them?
Yep.
Yeah. He's like somehow he's like reinstall the turbo button, so you can just spam that button, try to get this game reinstalled because it's just been it's become a thing. One position.
Yep.
Is this really one position? Are they not just gonna? I mean, like if you look at his build, he's got a windlace.
You've got
with
Hatchet,
Quelling Blade,
Windlace.
right? So
Yeah, dude, it's a safe lane.
it's confused Elder Titan.
To be fair though, right, in this game, if you, like I was mentioning in the draft, Aghanim Scepter, GG. Once you get that item, it's curtains, it's done. Just call it, start going home. There's not really much Guns and Roses can do. Because if he gets this early Aghanim Scepter, right, not only is it amazing for his own aggressive potential, right, how much damage he does, but one of the great things about the Spirit, when it comes back with that bonus armor immediately immunizes you against the Death Ward that comes out of Force Lord. And of course, the magic immunity at that point immunizes you from everything else. Then you just run at people, just hit them. And there's literally nothing they can do about it. And I mean, also, we might have a situation where they end up tunnel visioning onto this Elder Titan, given that he now has this outside role in the draft itself. So, Guns and Rosé, this is beyond just the hero, I think, being good for the situation. It might also throw them for a mental loop. And now they have to be thinking, oh gosh, they're playing ET safe lane. What do they know that we don't? You know, whenever unorthodox picks happen in Dota, I kind of feel like certain teams get thrown off kilter as a result because they're used to playing a much more cookie cutter edition of Dota. So the curveballs make it a lot more difficult for them to function.
So I'm trying to figure out, like, did they swap a player or something? I feel like I'm missing, or have like the different names in the field. Am I going crazy?
Nah, last game, our Lycan player out in the safe lane it was some long tag name. And we made the mistake of not giving them a nickname before they started. Feels bad. We messed up on that one.
Talking about Ryan?
No, not Ryan. Ryan's still out here. Ryan's still chilling. I'm saying the...
Yeah. It was like
yeah.
Duck sent me an email or something like that.
Yeah,
But it was not that. It was Duck remembered my name or something like. So it became the like. Okay.
So I think JK is probably someone on the team was like, "Come on, fam, what are you doing?" And you're like, "Okay, fine."
Oh, he needs to be punished. Like that's the only option now. He needs a particularly bad name. Dark Angel 47.
Dark Angel 47. That
Yeah.
is an amazingly bad name.
It's spelled
Congratulations.
D4RK,
Oof.
4NG3L.
Oof.
And they spell out 47 all in uppercase.
Oof. With an exclamation at the end.
Oh, why not? The meme thing where it's like exclamation, then a 1.
Oh, and also in the 47 when they're selling that out, the O is with a 0 at that point in time.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we're not gonna say why, right? But I'm sorry, admins.
Radiant's
Dark
courier
Angel,
has
just so
been
everyone can
killed.
see it, I'm gonna type it out. That's gonna be a capital right there. Where do you want the exclamation point? Before or after the 47?
After, of course.
Let's spell it like poorly as well.
After, of course. Speaking of things that are, you know what, going a lot better. Like
There you go.
there's poor names. Hey, Dark Angel 47.
And it's intentionally bad, by the way. It's like messed up even more by leaving out letters and all sorts of things. But there we go. Now there's a whole bunch of confused Dota players out there. An angry admin, like, it's the second time. Last time he asked somebody to, in one of the other previous EGL games, I don't know if you caught it, but I asked him to tip one of the players.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting adventurous in my old age, messing with the formula.
No, now you're at that age where you're like, y'all can't get rid of me. I'm part of the furniture, y'all. You're too big to fail. Too big to fail. Bottom lane?
Well, they do in fact have things fall down onto Protato, and out comes a beautiful double Maledict, but it's only level 1, so unlikely they'll get a kill off it, but they do manage to get off a Stroke of Fate as well. Protato backing off, getting blocked by his own creeps for just a moment. Forcelord trying to get a little bit of extra damage on him. Might be able to turn this one around in the Achilles, but it has to now play very sensibly. He's got damage on him and pops the solve. Immediately cancels well by Achilles. Force, where'd you go? The tier 2 tower seems so far away. Toss-out paralyzing cast. Walked in. You know, sometimes, I think he's gonna be... Yeah, Forcelord escapes. But sometimes, you know, it's the most obvious movement that works out. Tried to juke the Stroke of Fate and instead tanked it, but in the end, still, first blood goes to Myrmidon.
Oof, this is really bad. Not only getting the first blood here, and in the fashion that we expected to see this lane combo do it, but now they also zone back the Witch Doctor back to the base. So for the next while he's not available here, they can pretty much play for free. Protato needs to play, is playing much further up than I'm comfortable with. Be careful, Protato. They have Inkswell back again, my friend. Can easily die here. But Helsinki probably feeling that it doesn't have enough HP to fully go challenge for this Raid King. But nonetheless, yet again, Myrmidons. At the very beginning, it seemed like it might be an okay showing. Down bottom, I was watching Protato get some decent CS for himself, but very quickly that all turns around. And the scary thing is, it almost in a way doesn't really matter how a lot of the other lanes are going, right? The puck lane we know is going to be decently well, it's fine, whatever. But for them to win this game, they kind of require this Raid King to be the one that does really, really well. We already know that Tide is going to be experiencing a rough game. We already know that Puck can set up for his team, but getting the further damage necessary has to come from Protato. So losing a life like that and giving it away to Helsinki, who's having a phenomenal and easy time yet again to begin this game, Helbert.
Indeed, indeed. Looks like... I've noticed certain things about the way that their sports playing, like just like more advanced tactics that are not seeing the same kind of stuff out from Guns and Rosé, like supports like using spells to secure range creeps, that kind of stuff. It just feels like they're just a little bit ahead of the pace, to be perfectly honest. But it's the fact that Doom is up there is good, because it means that they are in fact the fact that the Doom isn't alone up there. He's got some company from his opponents, is at least keeping them in the game.
On the bright side as well, JK is having a pretty torrid time in the top lane. Doesn't feel like they've been able to protect him all that much. And the Lil Shredder, I think, has been the real hero of this lane. Oh! Look at that! Okay, never mind. You have Lil Shredder, little one, you're getting shredded. JK takes him to task. Alright, everything's turned around. At the top lane, they only had 7 CS up until this point on the ET. It seemed really good, but he's now gonna have level 4, almost level 5. With the amount of time before the Snapfire comes back, they should be able to secure level 5, in fact. So even though he's going to be quite behind on the CS, it's a decent way to start the game by getting that early kill. And it doesn't have to have an amazing game as well to start with, right? As long as he doesn't die too much to begin, he's always going to have this potential. Look at this, Helbert. Look at this.
I need a break. I'm done here. I'm putting my headset off. You take care of this. I'm gone. I'm done. This is ridiculous.
What? Dude, how are you losing the lane, right? You're 7-2 on CS. There's a person who is literally tripling your CS, who has, at that point in time, the same level as you, and you just walk him down, right-click him from 100 to 0. So sad. Oh, bottom. Oh my god, this is so bad. Yet again, another ill-fated rotation that the Guns and Rosé lineup makes to this bottom lane. This time around, because they brought Hot Brass here, that means the Tide Hunter is going to spend even more time isolated top. Hell, they're even bringing in the puck. Everybody wants the smoke down bottom. Very least though, they do get the 1 kill. You know, we end up finding a way to be able to pick up Helsinki. Afterwards, JK though, as we're talking about it, going to get left alone in the top lane. They have the ability to run down this Tide Hunter. And Tide's dead. Again, he's gone. Also, production, I would like for you all to give us the cam on our casters, because Halbert, the disgust at this briefcase Elder Titan is so visceral that he's left. He's had to vacate. He's like, I can't do this. I can't see this. And what we've just seen with the damage output, I frankly can't blame him. That's just, this is a bit much. Bottom, they need this kill. Will they get it? Little Shredder out onto Helsinki, but yet again, been talking about it. If Protato isn't out here, where is the damage? Where's the hurt? Where's the pain? No pain impossible from the Wraith King just yet. JK does not have that problem. He is dishing out plenty of pain all by himself. Right now though, I kind of love the fact that the way Guns and Rosé are playing this matchup, they are giving a bit more respect than what they were giving in game number 1. In game 1, they were rushing headlong pretty much into every engagement with no care or no regard for how strong Myrmidons was at the time, but this time there's a little bit more respect. They're like, you know what, it's okay, yo. It's okay. We get it. Y'all are really strong right now. Sure, we're gonna bring heroes to parts of the map, but we're not gonna dive unless we have a good position. What? Damn it! JK removes the Tidehunter from the game. Puck now, will he get out? No, he won't. Okay, alright. Okay. 2,000 damage from 4 right clicks. Aware. At the same time, though, we did have some action happening on the other side of the map. It only really concluded in 1 kill that really matters here. The Grimstroke did take a tumble.
Is this thing still the game? No, I don't like this. I was hoping to be done by now.
Nope. Oh, you missed something important. You missed something amazing.
What did I miss?
You missed an Elder Titan, right?
Yep.
Go and deal 2,000 damage, right, to a Tidehunter and a Puck in 4 right clicks.
Ah. So you're saying he's just getting warmed up?
Yeah, it's still early days, man.
I mean, come on, let's be real. Like, he's got a full orb of corrosion. I mean, that's what happens, right? When you complete an orb of corrosion, and you look at the stack, dude. Okay, this is disgusting. This is disgraceful. Watch this damage come out. There we go. Plus 360, ladies and gentlemen. Hot brass, guess what? Bang! Two shot! It's wrecked! No, this is not okay. I'm leaving again.
It's not even 10 minutes into the game and you're getting 2-shot. They are literally, quite literally, no other heroes in the game that can do this at this point, right? Even if you're playing the most farmed possible TA at 10 minutes, you're not 2-shotting heroes. You can be a PA, you're not 2-shotting heroes. This is, even a CK with like full Phantasm, maxed out Chaos Strike, I doubt you're 2-shotting heroes at this stage of the game.
His move speed, he just 2-shot Tidehunter. Well, you even got the list. Look at the this is so ridiculous. Don't let him hit you, lads. He gets spelled by Worm as well. He saw did one more hit onto die. He 2-shot Tidehunter.
Radiant structures.
I want to point this out. He hits harder, right, at less than 10 minutes than he has a move speed, Snare.
Yes. More damage than move speed. That is... Wow. Elder Titan safe right now. And the thing is not scary about this. He's doing this just with levels. We actually don't have the pickup yet of the items that this hero is going to get much stronger with. It's levels and an Orb of Corrosion. That's it. He only got the phase boots now when he died and went back to base. He was chilling with the brownies earlier, happy to do it. So this hero only becomes more and more threatening as time goes on. At least they get the consolation kill of Achilles down bottom. But I'm not seeing any lane pressure from them. I'm seeing this Helsinki Doom at the very tip top of the net worth. And I'm seeing the Spirit. Alright,
it hit everything. It hit every single creep.
Alright,
like
so
there were multiple stacks.
It was plus 360 last time. What do we got? Now we have...
2-shot again! Like you know... He'll 2-shot this Tide again if they never give it a chance. They push him back because they do have Mortimer backing up for the damage is good, but maybe not quite good enough. But
okay,
this is crazy, man. They're having to put 3 heroes here because if they get hit twice, they die. I mean, even bear this in mind, even with such an enormous amount of extra damage that he's getting, right? So he's sitting on this fantastic 78 plus 400 and something. So let's just call it 500 and change, right? That still shouldn't 2-shot a Tidehunter who's 1,500 HP. He's reducing all their armor and their resistance as well. So he's just breaking these people.
Oof. Natural order, baby. And like you mentioned, because they have to keep these 3 heroes in the top lane to attend to him, I mean, they used all their spells as well. Oh, Bossboard is dead.
Oh, come on.
Alright.
Alright,
one shot.
Somebody get Loader in here. So I need Loader. We need somebody asking about, is that even legal?
Is this even legal?
How
is this even allowed? How is this okay? Bottom lane though, Potato without help.
Yeah, he's going to be caught out by Achilles, and he's coming back to life. He is directly on his outpost, but guess what? That isn't his.
Yeah.
Not anymore, at the very least. He's been surrounded, and they're trying to run him down. He's got some problems. He gets caught by the Stroke of Faith, and Helsinki should have the damage finish off when it does. Doesn't even have to commit the Doom. It is a train wreck right now.
On the bright side though, JK does end up getting brought down bottom. They take out the Shadow Demon as well, so that's a pretty significant investment of net worth for Myrmidons that's now been taken away. Regrettably though, they can't actually do anything from this position. You know, we're getting to that point, Halbert, where it doesn't actually matter if you're killing heroes anymore, and it's more important, what are you getting next, right? Do you have the ability to get, let's say, this Blink Dagger now at Helsinki, where sure you end up losing JK top, but the map still seems good. You've taken the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, and now you have Blink so you can set up more fights. Where it is for Guns and Rosé, sure they have managed to kill JK twice, but each time they've done so, it's come with a massive investment from heroes, and it's not really allowed them to put any further pressure in the lane because of that investment of heroes and spells and cooldowns. They can't do much else thereafter. And now they're all having to respond en masse into the mid lane to try and defend this tier 1 tower. Happy situation for JK, because if he's farming top, Protato, I hate to break it to you, my friend, but you have to leave the lane. You can't be here while JK is farming alone. You need help that your team needs to offer you, and the rest of the team is now parked in middle. So much more space for Myrmidons to play from this position.
Look, as you say, it's at the moment he's like a gravitational black hole. Not the skill, but rather everything has to gravitate towards this all the time to take care of him. But the problem is that if you can't have this lane anymore. Like no one can sit here and occupy the same kind of space as him, because if there's only one person, he's literally gonna pull that spirit back through all those stacks that they've set up. They're not farming them. I mean, the Tide Hunter farmed them, right? But look how many stacks there are. He's going to pull them back through, pop Mask of Madness, and you cannot deal with that. Like, there's not a hero on the map right now that can deal with it. He'll kill Wraith King twice in his reincarnation, through his reincarnation, and still be able to do it. There's nothing in it. I'd also like to point out that nobody has picked a fight with me in the chat, saying that he bullies the Observer and Halberd all the time. I want you to all know there's a filthy lie. Everyone bullies nobody. And we invite you to as well. Here at EGL1, it's very important to us to achieve certain things in life. Right? One of them is to produce the finest South African Dota 2 action available. 2, get the best shoutcasters like myself and Snare. And probably George. There's also that other guy that's around sometimes. And of course, most importantly, is to bully nobody. So if you're in the chat right now, I will give you digital high fives if you give him a hard time in chat.
Yeah, there we go. We will. I'm sure we can arrange with at some point the best bully against nobody. We can arrange some kind of prize for them. You know.
Oh, I like this.
We'll make
I like
happen.
this. Maybe like a signed Spaceman MySpace, like all the talent or something like that.
Ooh, yeah.
We'll have to give you 2 or something because we'll bring down the value. But what's most important, at the end of the day, isn't about the reward. It's the adventure that we put on the table here. Yeah, obviously, Snare. Let's be real though. I still do think that there is some kind of weird soft cap to what happens to Old Titan in the form that, like, you reach a point where you can blow him up. Whereas right now he's able to just lay into you. There will come a stage we can control him for long enough to kill him without him actually moving. So there is I say soft cap because if he breaks out, he's still doing what he's doing now for 60 more minutes. But. Is it just a case of stalling? Is it a case of, you're trying to make the game last long enough so that you can deal with them, or what happens next?
I think the thing when it comes to dealing with this Elder Titan is, honestly, you were mentioning about how he's sort of like this focal point, right? There's a black hole of focus around him. And you have to lean into that on the side of Guns and Rosé. You have to kill him as many times as possible now, before this Aghanim Scepter comes out. Because while if you're able to kill him while Protato is also involved in that, Protato will eventually be able to carry this game with this Wraith King hero. But it's not just stalling it out. This requires such a massive stall job, not just because of how the early game has gone, which is not favorably in terms of the top and the mid lane. Actually, the mid lane went okay. Like, the Hoodwink did decently well against the Puck. So the Puck is fine, actually, in that situation. But the really messed up part, right, is how long it's going to take them to be able to recover with regards to how well the Doom is doing. Doom is doing so well right now. Top of the net worth, has his Blink Dagger, has the Midas. And the BKB timing is the one that terrifies me. If they can't get any real estate before this BKB timing, we're going to be stuck in a situation where sooner rather than later, they're going to be defending high ground because they have a very hard time fighting. They don't have any Blink Daggers just yet, either on Puck nor on the Tide Hunter. Tide doesn't seem like he's going Blink this game, which I can actually advocate for. You've got Puck, you don't need it. So if they can somehow hold the next 5 minutes without losing an additional tower, get at least 1 or 2 more kills on the Elder Titan, and then take away this top tower, at the same time to make sure that he has less room to farm on the map and just less places to be able to stack for this obscene spirit play, then that is a way back into the game for Guns and Rosé. But unfortunately, Myrmidons probably are aware of this, so when they are going to be playing out, once the unpause is upon us, they will be trying to make sure to hold their own towers and to make sure that the map is as constricted for Guns and Rosé as possible. Because if the status quo doesn't change, they are going to be favored for like the next 20 minutes in this game. So I kind of hope that Guns and Rosé, like in retrospect, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually mind this hyper aggressive move towards middle, but something has to come of this, right? I don't want them to just sit here, all of them happily watching the tower being defended. They need to make something aggressive happen as a unit. We can utilize the Dream Coil. Ravage is back up. Oh, wait, when did he use Ravage? 70 seconds. That's so long. Oh, this is really bad. Because now they can't do anything with this tied middle. Might as well just leave him.
Well, look, admittedly, I actually think that this might be a good idea to try to soak up for that Doom or something in the mid lane, because then you can swap it around. So at the point when you come back with your Ravage, you can actually get it off. So you create a window for yourself by sacrificing your life, which may not feel great, but at least it gives you some kind of strategical advantage later down the line. And if they don't, and then it's on them. You know, it's on Myrmidons to not mess it up. They get the Doom and the kill. If you can just walk the Tidehunter out, then you're okay. And of course, he's still a tanky boy. He can still do the whole Tidehunter thing. He's got 2 braces on him. He's got the phase boots. He's got the armor. There's a way in for them there. I was also just thinking, saying like really random question, but like, is there not like a should they not have prioritized like a Yules on the puck? And the reason I ask is because Yules gives a basic dispel, right, which I think gets rid of the damage buff for Elder Titan.
I think you need strong dispel for that one.
It's a strong dispel. Okay. Yeah, let me know. I'm not sure, but I was just thinking you, because the one
thing
is
dispellable normally. Yeah, you can dispel it normally. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not wrong. So in that case, something just to delay this monstrosity, because obviously once he has his ags up, then he's BKBing you, right? And like you can't do much about it. But at least it's harder for him to pull off. Right now he's just walking in and Falcon punching you. So I think they should look at some kind of spell as well, because even if it comes in after the BKB ends, I'm pretty sure the duration of the damage buff extends beyond the duration of the BKB, depending on how many units are hit, obviously. But there's a chance there, so you gotta address that issue. You can't just leave it to the end of the game and hope for the best. It's got to be dealt with in a more intelligent manner. So
I would have liked to see it actually now that you mention it, because I'm really actually clicking onto this puck now and seeing that he's first building the Dagon. I suppose the rationale for this build is, I mean, we've been talking about this many times in this game about how before they have Potato in a good position, they just lack damage and it's not that easy for them to bring down targets. So this is a way to bridge that gap. But given that is a problem, but it feels like the problem is the Elder Titan. And like you mentioned, if they have the Yule Scepter, it's some kind of way to counter him out, and not just being able to counter him out after the buff ends or the spirit returning. You can utilize the Yule Scepter before the spirit gets to him. So if you can catch this Elder Titan when he thinks he's going to be in a good place, Yules him up, suddenly you can actually flee away from the fight. Don't have to worry about that OP damage. Sure, he comes down again once the immunity triggers, but who cares? At that point, you're not really worried about
mid lane. They get off the soul blind. They want the Doom as well. The Inksoul's there. They do have the damage out onto both the Sport and the Tidehunter. They're trying to juke this one around. It might actually stay around. They're going to get off a beautiful cookie. Doom for what mischief? Guess what? I can speak again now, and Helsinki goes back onto him, but he might get a surprise. No gush available, so he won't be able to walk it off. At least for now, no cookie just yet. Fast snap. Cookie, where is it? He needs it. They're going to back off into him. They don't need it in the end. He backs off, decides to face his foes. But in the end, they managed to turn this one. That is a huge fight for Guns and Rosé.
Unfortunately, not worth it. It should have been worth it, right? You killed Doom. You killed Grimstroke. You killed the Shadow Demon.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, though, Potato did not leave the jungle while this move was happening. So JK knew that he was 100% isolated. Combos up with the respawn Shadow Demon.
Oh no! Not like this! Not like this! They get off the stun, but is there enough around? 1, 2! I need 3! Let's go, Tide! And he's just obliterated, and Boston is next! Let's see how long this one takes! Oh, he's run out! Okay, well there's that, I guess. Probably Sean wants to get involved too, but he's not gonna get the last hit. Did he even activate Mask of Madness there? Was that just natural? Like, who needs it? I bought this for the giggles, man.
He went mom for the bonus move speed as the thing came down. That's why he was able to run down the Tide. So, but then it expired. He's like, man, it's cool. Now I'm just back to farming. And Potato was right here, and Potato's actually doing the right thing, right? Trying to build into those radiance, but also trying to take away these camps so that the spirit damage buff wouldn't be as OP and as crazy, but unfortunately pays for it with his life. Also, let's consider what happened middle, right? That massive fight, sure they get a couple of kills, but afterwards, it's not Guns and Rosé who are pressuring a tier 1 tower here, Helbert. It's Myrmidons taking this bad boy down, shrinking the map even farther for Guns and Rosé. And now they have Ravage back online, but...
Oh, the other coming in as well. Do they use it? They get off the Phantom Embrace, and that means they can't get the Ravage just yet. It finally will go down, and the Ravage is big, and Mortimer's backing it up too. The time to stands, they get off a little bit of extra damage onto Helsinki, and it's more than enough. JK and Mischief, they're not going to be involved in this one. That's 3 for nothing. Yes, they do lose their tower, but they are fighting back. Snare, this is a lot better than the previous game. Let's be honest about it. But JK, Thanos is still around. He's snapping more than just his fingers in this game.
Oof. That fight amazingly done there for the Guns N' Rosé lineup. They're probably going to get the tier 1 off of this as well. And the huge thing too is not just getting these kills, but the manner in which they got them, utilizing their spells as well as they did, not triggering everything all at once, so they still have some left in the tank. And also, with Potato, now also having a little bit more time. He's going to get himself the Sacred Relic not too long from now. We're on track to get this Radiance going. I also must say that that fight, we also had a mistake coming in from Achilles. Achilles ended up using the Phantom's Embrace a bit too soon in the fight, instead of waiting to utilize it on Tidehunter. Phantom's Embrace, great against Tidehunter because you can't crack and shell it off. You have to attack the little ghost. Had they done so, I think they actually have enough damage to kill the Tide, but a little bit of a misplay there. Well, they're probably also just feeling themselves after the previous game too. But this is the ticket that they needed. Guns N' Rosé are somewhat back in this game right now, but Myrmidons want to try send them right back out of it with this early smoke move here, Albert.
That's their turn now. They have the Doom up as well. They're going to go in. They get off the Stomp as well from Helsinki. He will commit the Doom. The Phantom Embrace is there as well, but I agree. I don't think this is the play because he will be back up in 30 seconds. And that does mean he'll have a fairly good window to turn things around the Ravage. There wasn't any support there. There wasn't a Ravage available. Probably need to save that Doom, but done and dusted now. Let's see if they can respond. I think a great opportunity for Guns N' Rosé. Turn this one around, get some objectives.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about how you want Tidehunter to be able to dangle his life, die, and then come back into a good position. And that's practically what he did there perfectly. They not just killed him with the Doom usage, but they also utilize a smoke gag for that. So a lot of resources expended on a hero that not only is he fairly poor, but by the time he comes back, like you said, he's going to have the Ravage 20 seconds yet again, so they can initiate from this. Also, I must say that Mischief is having a very different fortune in this game.
Hold on, they go in, they get off the engagement with Helsinki. He was swallowed up, but guess what? The Tidehunter's chasing. They might not realize he's still just off the Ravage, but they'll get a mini Ravage instead from the paralyzing cast. It's going through doing so much work. Wim uses a Soulbind to get up the Demonic Purge, so he will slow things down, but are they going to get this one up? Unlikely. Wobble goes in with the Illusory Orb onto the mid lane. And he's get some damage off onto him. They're still trying to beat down him though. Snapfire Cookie is there as well. Gush comes out, and they do have the Hellfire Blast as well. And eventually, they finish the job. That's 3, and they lost nothing. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There's a sting in the tail. And that is that there's still a Ravage on the deck. So there's a lot more work to be done here for Guns N' Rosé. Although the Witch Doctor fell, he was a hero of that fight.
The absolute hero in that fight. Not just getting the turnaround with the paralyzing cost, but that Maledict that he was able to trigger out was so clutch. Helsinki had very little option, and we were talking about it in the draft. The fact that they have these tanky heroes leaves them extremely susceptible.
JK, look at him go! He gets so much damage off the Snapfire. He'll finish him off for free. And as good as it looked for a moment. Well, never mind. Okay. I guess Puck wants to die. I mean, Tudwink wants to die.
Okay. What's happening with Mischief? This Hoodwink pick has not worked out for them, like, at all. Hasn't looked good, hasn't allowed them to really put pressure and pace on the map. Although, they might look for revenge here on the high ground, Helbert.
That's exactly what they're doing. The paralyzing cast again, bouncing beautifully. Gets off a lot of work. They're going to drop down the LT as well from the Witch Doctor. But guess who? It's JK! Who cares about LTs when you have just right-click damage? JK is just brutalizing these people. This is like at the end of the... Hey, Snare, you do FGC, right? I mean, you've seen this story before, right? Like, brutality. Let's go. That's all this is. I mean...
This is something else from JK. Honestly, and we saw in that fight how Witch Doctor's there, channeling the ward like a good boy, doing everything he can, but JK is like, what up? I've got 30 armor. What does your Death Ward do to me? Just walks up, kills everybody. It's obscene right now, and it gets worse, Dev. It gets worse. He's building Silver Edge, right? So at that point, not only will they won't need the Hoodwink to apply the break onto Tide anymore. Tide's gonna have a harder time, if that you can even possibly imagine and believe that. This JK, what's actually been interesting, right, is all the positive fights that they've taken as Guns and Rosé have been situations where JK is not there. And every time he shows up, they're just like, well, yeah, we have things to do elsewhere, somewhere else.
Bottom lane, elsewhere. Mischief in trouble again as well. Has tracked him down. Hasn't found the movement from Mischief, and that's important because he does have a lot of damage available to him. He's tossed up the usual, also goes wide. Mischief doesn't want any part of this. He'll back off.
Alright, so now we got the Dagon 2 finished up for the puck. I feel like this is the furthest you should go for now. The usual rules are if you're going to build Dagon 2 at best, then you need to build something else for now. So Yule Scepter that you mentioned earlier is a very good shot, but given that they already have the Ags, it's either Yule's, BKB, if he was richer, right? Or if we still lived in a world where you got the 420 gold, which is insane, then E-Blade would be amazing in this game, honestly, for this puck to be able to pick up.
You're just not thinking big enough. Think about it for a second, right? It's not about whether or not Yules isn't the play anymore. It's how many Yules. So this is what you do, right? Everyone buys Yules. And when that BKB comes up, you just pause the game, dude. Just everyone tosses themselves into there. We're not playing until you're done, sir. In fact, it just Windwalkers as well, because then you can use your friends as well. So you can save the ones that aren't at risk, you know? There you go. Ravage does catch out the...
Don't do him.
Elemental in the back line, but this is trouble, and out comes a Soulblight. He's a Doom's also there onto Wobble as well. This is a bit of a train wreck right now. The Paralyzing Cast again doing work! Look at the Snapfire go! They're going to bring down the Doom, most likely. He was bailed out a little bit by the disruption from Worm. That's not over just yet. He's going to toss through a couple of Shadow Points as well. Mischief poking, probing, but guess what? It's me! It's JK on the front lines, and he's not going to actually find his way onto any of his opponents. They do, however, get engagement onto Force. You just get blown up, and they slow down the rating for long enough for that sharpshooter to connect, and now he's all alone in there. He's going to get stunned up as well by the Ink Swirl, and the right clicks are just too insane coming from JK. And they're going to run down the Snapfire because, hey, who needs to keep hostages when it's a Dota game? Hot bait, Ross, excuse me, into the tree line, trying to juke this one out. This is like a Jaws movie. It's after you,
Rampage.
and JK will get a Rampage. Oh boy, and it might be more because Tidehunter's into the fray. They might want to turn this one back around. Who can resist a double Rampage? Well, apparently JK. He's been a little bit slow on the mark. He gets around this side. Let's go. I don't think the double Rampage is available. They do get the Phantom's Embrace out of the Ink Swirls there as well. On the backline, Puck Wobble wants to help out. Be careful, beware, because JK is here, and he just starts slaughtering the Puck. You'll bring him down again. This is madness. Somebody get rid of this hero. You know what? I'll take techies. We'll keep techies, thank you. Get rid of Elder Titan.
Dude, this hero, I told you once this Axe shows up that there's nothing you can do. That there's literally nothing you can do. My gosh, this is just slaughter. Look how much damage he does in that fight. Oh, okay, it's only showing the last kill, 1800, but the full Rampage, making a lot of work happen for himself. And I think the thing that's really terrifying for the side of Guns and Rosé is, like, sure, the double Doom was drawn out earlier on in the fight. The Ravager's use is not particularly the best position, but it needs to be very scary for them how willing JK was to just run forward alone, even when the other tanky hero was dead. There's no Doom to help him out. Hoodwink is actually having a poor game. Mischief not really able to get forward either, but JK is like, cool, who needs y'all? I've got my Aghanim Scepter, I've got my Mask of Madness. I at the time had level 18, now I'm level 20 Elder Titan. Look who's the next closest hero in this game. Level 16 on the puck. Are you kidding me?
Forget that. JK has the same amount of kills as the entirety of Guns N' Rosé combined. In they go again. Side under corner. Will get off the Ravage. Maybe there's a hope here because Mortimer's doing work. But however, in comes Achilles and Helsinki. They want to shut the door closed. They will lose the Grimstroke. Hold on. They might be able to turn this. They're going to bring down 3, including JK. The Doom is off onto Wobble. But is there enough follow-up damage to really make this one hurt? Worm is being run down by a Protector. Does get off the Glimmer Cape, but he's got a Sentry Ward down. He's going to follow in one right click is all that remains. And now it's my turn. What you can do, I can do just as well, says Potato. I want my Rampage. Don't think it's going to be a Rampage, but it is going to be a double kill and a team wipe for Guns N' Rosé. Okay.
Are you kidding me? Okay, that's a sign of life right there, Halbert. They're back in this one right now.
I believe they have a pulse, Snare.
Yeah, not dead just yet. That was a very reckless fight though to go in and take from the side of Myrmidons. Like, we already saw them top lane fighting underneath the tier 1 tower. It actually took a while before JK was like, wait a second, I should just destroy this thing. But running headlong underneath the tier 2 in that position, fighting that the way that they did, and they dove so deep, even underneath the Morty's Kisses, the Death Ward. They just felt like JK would be strong enough to tank through all of it, that Helsinki would be strong enough with the BKB to run onto anybody, but
The break is going to be applied to the Titan. Gets a little bit of support from the Snapfire Cookie, but they do want to still take this fight. The Dream coils out. This fight's not looking good. It's time for Guns and Rosé to address the situation by fleeing it. There's no ways they take this fight after that start, and they appreciate it too. But look at Potato. Hey, guess what, guys? You guys keep them busy. I'm going to take mid tower.
Potato is actually, we're getting to that point, Albert, honestly, like, we're not too far away from a game where Potato can actually help them win, but he's alone middle. He needs to run. He needs to get out of here. Okay, did the right thing.
You read that really well. His timing was good. He got a significant amount of damage. He respected the fact that he was going to die for it if he stuck around any longer. The tower stands. It's in deny range, sure, but the job is done. I like the fact that he played that's so well. And maybe Guns and Rosé are starting to feel a little bit more confident. It feels like if they can deal with, if they can kite out JK for long enough to turn him into a normal human being for a moment, then they can go. Sorry, I just want to check something. Krim, is that the name of the person who won it? Because it seems you only allowed to win EGL 1 prizes if you have weird names that confuse me. Yep, it is. Unlucky, congratulations.
Nah, that's not how you pronounce it. Come on.
Unlucky!
There you go.
Congratulations for winning the prize. Make sure that you claim it, otherwise it's going somewhere else. Mid lane, BKB up on Helsinki. They want to take this fight. They're going to toss through the Earth Split to the mid lane. They get a lot of damage from Potato, but Mortimer, he's zoning them. JK, he's all alone. Was this the right play? You are very deep in, sir. And they might be able to. This paralyzing cast comes out. They're controlling him. JK is down, and they do have some. What? He killed him instead. I thought he was down. He still got the reincarnation off. The damage out onto the Titan. They're probably going to have to deny him. They're waiting. Do they do it? No, they don't get the timing right, so they will get the kill onto the Titan Hunter. But they managed to trade off the GOAT of this game for a support and an offlaner, and I think that's okay.
I have no idea what JK was doing there. That was the epitome of over-aggression. Dives onto the high ground. And it ends up, because of how far ahead he is and the fact that he has the level 20 cleave talent, thankfully for himself, he does end up getting away with a kill, a reincarnation pop, and the team takes out the Titan Hunter, so they recover something from that fight. But my goodness, that was... It feels like Myrmidons just need to relax, y'all. Relax. Oh, though, bottom. There's no reincarnation, Dev.
Oh, this is a bit of an unfortunate series of events because they're going to lose one. They tried to get the damage onto Helsinki. Again, Vorse gets off a really nice paralyzing cast, but they're going to have to settle for Worm most likely. They still probably have this if Wobble wants it, but the support is coming in. No. It's time to back off, friends. You may not realize this is going on, but they do have the support coming in, and they haven't been able to finish off Worm just yet. The Phantom's base is there, and the damage good. Helsinki returns with the stomp, and they'll get 2, so that'll make 4 in total in this phase of play.
Went to the doctor once and
When it was just looking a little bit better.
And Worm didn't even die throughout all of that. He's still alive out here, living up to the name. Wriggled through into his team. Dub God, man. Out here. You know, I'm sorry, Wormy. I know you've been a mainstay player, but that name is being retired now. So we've got a new Worm in town. Man, this feels so rough because Guns and Rosé were actually on the path to a comeback, but they over-chased down bottom. Actually, and Potato, this is the one tendency I've noticed from him and that I really don't like. That yes, as a carry player, you shouldn't always be playing with your team, and you should be playing the map and farming areas where your team isn't at the time, but your team's supposed to make space for you. You can't farm the areas where it's actually most dangerous to be. At least they get those consolation kill, but for Potato, dying like five deaths in a game as carry Red King is honestly unacceptable.
JK. The amount of damage they will do is just so huge. They will get some cross kills on. They bring down Mischief again. So it's 2 for 1, but again, this Titan died. He didn't expend Ravage, so that's something to work with. Did they get Roche on here? I think you're Roche with the Ravage up, right? Because No, that's a bit ambitious. They still have the... Look at this Doom, man. Overwhelming Blink. BKB, Midas. He's almost finished off... He's not almost. He's getting towards the Shiva's God Wall, but he's a wealthy fella.
Yup.
That's for sure.
So much money available on this Doom. Just getting everything. We're not yet at the point where he's considering getting the Aghanim Scepter, but... Oh no, Wobble might die here. Wobble's dead. Bye-bye.
I think he didn't really respect that Phantom's Embrace. I'm pretty sure he had sight of it. I don't know if his Delusion Orb was in cooldown, but normally in that situation where you know you just use a blink, you just get some distance between you with it. But yeah, he just got ran out of options once he got caught up by the Phantom's Embrace, and that was that. And now there's a great opportunity for Myrmidons to take an objective here. And Protato's on the front line. He's got to be careful. He gets caught out again. Phantom's Embrace will be there. And you can just see the Spirit is chasing. He's going to find 2 units. So that does mean he's going to have a fair amount of time with that BKB form, if you will. And Potato is not respecting it. He's waiting for this to run out. That's going to be done in just a moment. Maybe they can still turn this to bring the tide out. And he's got the Ravage. He's got the Blink. And he's going to get 4 and 2 stay on top of each other. Mortimer hitting the back line. But the Soulbind comes out. Helsinki comes in. And Guns and Rosé, they're being destroyed here. 4 down. 1 will come back with the reincarnation. They trade out Helsinki. But JK, you lose. Because he is literally demolishing them right now. Whew. The fight started so well, but man, the moment they were able to return fire, they just broke Guns and Rosé.
Very overambitious with the Blink Ravage, or rather, it wasn't overambitious, but the team wasn't set up to take advantage of it. We had like a 1.5 seconds of stun time before the spell started flying in, and that gave them more than enough time to turn that around, more than enough time to get the BKB off, get the turnarounds going, look directly into Guns and Rosé, because remember, they took that fight 4v5. We did not have access to the puck, which is so surprising why they went for it. Their primary tempo controller, their biggest source of magic damage, owning the Dagon 3 at this point, and yet they make the decision that they really wanted to go in on that one. End up getting punished massively, Halbert. They lose the tier 2 tower. JK gets even stronger, looking into this AC right now. Helsinki, sure, you get that kill, but got his job done in that fight by degrees. And what's making matters worse is that Mischief, who has been having a rough game, has been slowly but surely accruing up items. The BTs are flying in right now. We already had the Aghanim Scepter finished earlier for the Boomerang. And we already see the Boomerang have an effect in the fight. Poor Snapfire.
I love how JK didn't even like, yeah, you guys got this, right? You got this.
Oh, no, dude.
I think he actually might have. He has yeah, he's got Heaven's Halberd, so that's actually why he wasn't punching. But he was just standing there like, you know, you're dead, right? It's like,
Hey, how you going?
Like, what you gonna do?
honestly,
bottom?
his behavior there was when you go to you go to a public restroom and some guy just takes up the urinal spot directly next to you, like just watching you die. In this case, you know.
And the guy that takes the stall next to you isn't even peeing. He's just watching you.
Pretty much. Just stone gazing, man. There you go. Helsinki and Co, they're going to make their way towards bottom lane. They're going to boost up JK again with the Inkswell. He's not too interested in going forward just yet. Watch Potato on the sidelines. They toss on Illusion Orb. They must be interested. They get off a decent Dream Call here. Get a defensive disruption off though. They're not going to make too much of this. BKB pop by Helsinki. They want to try and turn this. They're all going to blink away defensive. They can burn this BKB. There's something in this. Keep it on tight. He's got the blink dagger available and he's got Ravage. Does he turn and burn? When does he go? Surely it's now. He triggered off the, oh no. Oh no, oh no. He triggered off the Scorch Earth. He was never able to get it off. And now it's their turn again to return fire. The damage. He tries to toss out one last Ravage. It's a desperate move. But do they have enough to turn? Potato tries to get on top of Worm. He will be able to do so. The Glimmer Cape say intentionally moves back towards the tree line. They know that he's done something sneaky, but they're not able to find him. And JK, he's now trying to get back onto his side of the high ground, where Achilles will fall down to Wobble's Illusory Orb. But do they want to keep chasing? JK is caught up by Potato, and they do have damage. Can they finish the job? No, Silverage, they do have dust. No, you can't do this. Crawls need to carry dust, friends. That man is worth 22,000 gold, and you don't have dust on you? No.
Yeah.
Bad.
And they know that he has a Silver Edge as well. Had the Shadow Blade for quite some time. Silver Edge has already been revealed, so... Oh, actually, he's gonna go in and kill somebody. Okay.
JK wanted Protea, but he's actually able to stand there. He does have the full AC up at the moment. I know this is something that Not a Hero speaks a lot about, is the concept of like green armor and that kind of stuff. So they're trying to build towards things that give you like flat armor that's away from that base stuff that'll allow you to tank up against JK. And admittedly, if they get a Shiva's Guard up and something, maybe we're in business here. I mean, I'd love to see the puck go for it, but at the moment, still going for an Aeon Disc. I don't know, Lincoln Sphere? Interesting. What's the Lincoln for? The Doom? But even then you could just... But can't you just soul bind an ally next to the puck and then...
Yeah, which is interesting because that's how he's been getting caught most of the time, right? He's been caught next to the Doom itself. He hasn't been a primary target, so...
I mean, it might actually... I'm not sure exactly what the mechanic is there. I may be saying, I think it might actually trigger the Lincolns, but... Still, it's just a weird choice. I think the Aeon Disc made more sense to me. Because you're going to get just destroyed by the ET if he does get on top of you, but oh man, I wish he was going Shiva's Guard. I really wish he was going Shiva's Guard. Like that just additional armor, the slow that it provides as well, the vision. It's such a good item in this game. I'm sad to see it not happening.
I'm also kind of sad to see that like after Potato definitely needs the BKB here, but he's gonna go Satanic. I wonder what the option is after this, right? I'm kind of hoping that he goes something like a Heart. Like, it's an item that's definitely fallen out of favor with this hero, but we need him to overload on strength, right? It's exactly like what you were mentioning about how you need to get away from base resist at this point. Anything that is additive is what you need, and raw HP is one of the better tools of helping yourself against Elder Titan, because if you just tank through everything, you can still survive the fight. But speaking of survival, the first Roche attempt of the entire series here, Albert. Myrmidons are in the pit, they've got the big man down.
Yeah, that is kind of weird to think how much. We've now played, what, a cumulative sort of 56 minutes. I think the last game was about 20 minutes, right? So we're at like 56 minutes and one Roshan kill? Weird.
No Roche. I mean, normally nowadays, every other play is, guys, how soon can we go Roche?
Oh, well, this is interesting. There's some real damage on this bot lane tier 3 tower. They got something from it. I mean,
I'm not opposed to taking
that's fairly useful.
bounty.
Okay, this is good to see. I mean, I love the fact that Guns and Rosé are not allowing themselves to be completely counted out of the game, right? They are still playing with their minds intact. They're still making, like, maybe not like necessarily the best overall moves, but good moves from the position that they're in at this point in time. They are no longer leaving Potato, for example, just hanging in awkward areas on the map. They're always ready to back him up. They are moving in to actually try and fight with the Side Hunter. And times where he feels like he doesn't fight properly, he doesn't just blow the Ravage. He's being very circumspect about when to trigger the ultimate off. Young Ryan has been here. So I'm liking the progress from Guns and Rosé. I'm not liking this TP move down bottom, though. I think you just sacked the tower here.
Oh yeah, this tier 2 is... You know what this tier 2 is like? It's like when you're at a party, right? And there's like those little styrofoam cups.
Radiant's bottom tower.
You know the styrofoam cups I'm talking about?
Yep.
Radiant's
And then you don't know which cup is yours anymore.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Oh no. Don't help that man. He's also a styrofoam cup, and this is why they're both gonna get doomed. Out comes the Earth Splitter as well. The buybacks are there. They should be able to finish off the Witch Doctor with the Doom and Doom, but they want to turn this one around to kill said Doom. He does have an Aegis. So he's gonna come back. Maybe it's worth if they can still turn this. They commit Ravage. No, there's nothing left in this. Not worth. That's what the doctor says at least.
Why did they blow the Ravage?
It's the styrofoam cups, man. When you're not sure which styrofoam cup is yours, you just forget about it. You get a new styrofoam cup. That's it. In they go. They get the Inkspell off onto the JK Elder Titan. Helsinki also on the front lines taking a little bit of damage. They are probing and poking, but they don't have a Ravage to work behind this time. You're going to be reliant on Snapfire cookies and such. No Mortimers, because it's the only LTs that is currently available is the Resurrection. They will have the Witch stocked up and away. And admittedly, he has been good. Look at JK go. Backdoor. Oh, no, you don't. That is the third styrofoam cup, okay? You don't pop them. You don't pop them backdoor protection towers with a glyph. You just don't do it.
Yep. Now we
That is a party foul.
We back. We take these outposts. You know, we're going to the kitchen and getting glasses with our names on them, and we're pouring into those because at this point, Myrmidons, all they have to do is not mess this one up, and they should be able to comfortably close it out towards the end. The tier 3 tower down bottom, half HP. The glyph got popped too soon, so. On the bright side, them leaving does buy time for Ravage to come back online, so they'll probably have one more bite at the cherry with their full complement of spells, but It does also mean that you're gonna have to sacrifice the tier 2 in the top lane because you are just, it's absolutely impossible to fight and defend this right now without having Ravage, without having Glyph. And it looks like they still want to though. I don't know about this, Guns and Rosé, but I've been surprised by them before.
By the way. I understand this. I thought it was a Styrofoam cup, but they think it's a red cup. You know the red ones? There's limited ones. You really got to look after them. No, don't. But jokes aside, they really need to and have successfully let this go, and that's a big deal. They have 10 seconds left till their Ravage. No reason to throw the game there, and they clearly agree. But what are the next steps? I mean, what is the next thing to do here?
Alright, well, they are actually doing the thing that they should be doing. Potato's going bottom to reclaim this outpost for their team. He's going to also be occupying potentially this bottom part of the map to get farm here. Sadly, they don't have much vision cover, so it's a dangerous place for him to be. Are they going to lose Puck? Are they about to lose? No, Puck's fine. But this is what they need to be doing.
He's got illusory orb. He's gonna use the psychic headband. That's one of the few times you'll ever see the item actually used in Dota game. Like, you know, have you ever noticed how infrequently this item actually gets activated?
Yeah, the active. I mean, it's one of these situations where I think the passive is so good that you forget it has an active.
Yeah.
And you're like,
the
oh,
passive you
bye-bye.
never actually have to be in a position where you need to use it, right? Like, he's casting from the fountain, lads.
Yeah, everything's fine. Then you're like, oh yeah, BT Doves. This is an incredible spell that I can use pretty much at a whim. Right now, though, 3 minutes until there is a Roshan. They've proven to be able to hold somewhat, so Myrmidons definitely know that they can't just run headlong onto the high ground. Oh, I say that, but JK, he's in.
Again, super aggressive movements from JK, and it hasn't... You know, we spoke about this in game 1 about like how it is hard to finish sometimes, but in the previous game it was easy, right? You just attach your Ancients to the tier 3s, to the Ancient itself, and you know, you win the game, right? But this is a little bit harder because you do legitimately have to put somebody at risk. JK obviously with the ability to just BKB through this damage, or even just survive. He's a tanky fella, he's got 3k HP, he's got a full AC. I mean, that armor is a stupid amount of armor, so he can just run at you like this, but you know, if you can allow him to probe, if you can poke, if you can get a little bit of extra damage, maybe get someone to overreact, that's a way we can potentially turn this one. No ages to deal with this time around.
So concerned for him. How on earth is he actually gonna get away with his, like, how is anyone gonna actually kill him, right? Now that he's picked up the heart, 4k HP, when he's got the spirit on him, he has 50 armor.
Okay.
What? Alright, seems like quite balanced.
Hero.
The one bright side that they do have, though, is that it does seem, given the rest of their complement, they don't really have easy ways to deal building damage. So, as long as they can somehow keep the illusions and JK himself away from the tower, they can defend indefinitely on the high ground. And Potato's Radiance makes that particular mission
they've
a lot
gone in.
easier as well.
They may have overplayed their hand here. They get caught out, but the just ridiculous amount of damage that comes out, and then once again give it the Ravage too early. The Doom comes out onto the Tidehunter, so maybe a slight saving grace, but they're likely going to finish him off regardless. They do have damage on the back line. They are being probed again. They're trying to get back in this. Can they make something of this? Potato wants to go to work on the Hoodwink, but he'll die for the first time. Buyback comes in for the Tidehunter, but he's got nothing off here. Potato will fall again. This is likely GG as we speak, because with the Tide up and the Puck up, but no ultis, they are just not offering any value. And in they go again. Helsinki doesn't respect this Titan without a Ravage, goes back in, they break him up, and JK, he might just follow you into this line. Beware. Saner moments will prevail as he does back off for the time being. Stands his ground, he's caught up by the anchor smash, but they will start claiming this first set of racks in the bottom lane. Once again, in comes Helsinki, gets a stomp off. But right now, he's just gotta go to work. Let's deconstruct this Guns and Rosé base.
Yeah, the base is now going to be in shambles very, very shortly here without any ultimates like you mentioned. But crucially, ultimates are one thing. A buyback on the Wraith King is quite another. He is the biggest hero on the team. The only hero that for the last while has actually successfully managed to threaten back Myrmidons and prevent them from pushing the base. But he overextends outside on the fight, gets taken advantage of. I love how JK has been initiating these fights, right? Because usually when you see a hero initiate, they're not using the astral forward step. Okay, this is bad news.
This is bad news. He's taking a lot of damage. So again, they're trying to slow things down. The paralyzing cast does buy them a fraction of a second, but it's going to be BKB'd off. And, well, they just have so much damage at disposal. Mischief into the tree line, living up to his lane. Will survive. Helsinki pops the refresh orb. He does have it out now. JK, he's going fishing. straight into the depths of their fountain, but they can't even rely on that to kill off Myrmidons now.
Right side though, the Wobble Lincoln Sphere finally ended up being useful. It did block a Doom attempt from Helsinki. Won't save the base though. It's gonna be straight up Megas, and they're even worse positioned to defend against Megas than they were in game 1, it feels.
They're just so far behind at the moment. And JK, he wants the objective, kinda. He wants to farm now. Wobble, caught in the tree line. They have an idea of where he is. They're gonna get right on top of him. Can he get the illusory orbs, anything out? Doesn't look like it's gonna happen. Does Waning Rift to the other side, says live for a little while longer as they once again start attaching themselves to these heroes. Helsinki has been so good, and they get everybody stunned up outside the fountain. This game is decided. They will get the Maledict off onto 2 though. Damage good into JK. He doesn't have the ability to BKB at the moment, so he's going to get hurt here. Does have a little bit of support coming from the back lines from Achilles. But that is Megas. And looks like Guns and Rosé will try to make this last a little while longer, but their time in EGL 1 Season 2 is likely coming to an end. Mischief put up by Potato. Does fall. In walks JK.
Okay.
JK?
JK?
JK.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure he has his reasons.
Actually, you know what his reasons were, right? He told his team, they're like, everyone's like, cool, let's get Megas, we're all retreating. JK, I'm going back in.
Radiant's middle tower is
Ooh, that was completely unnecessary and very detrimental. They have taken a massive knock off of that. I mean, it's not that bad at the end of the day. I mean, it's a lot of gold given away. Look at how much gold they got. Jeez. 2,000 gold for Raid King, 2.5 for the Witch Doctor, a full grand for the Puck after buying back. So a lot of gold changed hands, but sadly, even with a swing of gold about 6 times 5,000, doesn't matter. It's still a 20k gold lead. They still have the Megas up. They still have tier 2s available, Halbert, to defend their base. So they don't have to really worry about this.
If this happens another 7 or 8 times, this game could be even again.
Oh yeah, I believe.
Look, I'll say this much. I actually think that Guns and Rosé put up a pretty cool, they put up a cool fight here. It was a much better game than game 1. And although this is, I think, their swan song that we're witnessing right now, well, this is quite a swan song. Potato decides to go, you know, why not? Good for you. You want to hit that tower? BKB, kill Achilles. I get that guy. Oh, this is not fair. Run away, flee. Don't let this happen. No, Helsinki, not like this. Leave him alone. Oh, actually, hold on. Can they turn this? There is a Doom available, so I'm pretty sure.
Oh, no,
yeah, I'm pretty sure this no longer looks good. Did he get off his first Doom?
He did not, because something interesting happened, right? So they had this soul bind out between the Raid King and the Puck, right? But before he could actually cast Doom onto the Raid King died, so he couldn't actually do Puck. But he gets it anyway.
Oh, the Ravage comes in again, but it's surely not. No, this. Surely not, right? Like, surely this is actually going to be lost, right? The Erasmus is down there, the damage is good. That disruption going to make sure that the Ingspell will also find its mark onto the Titan. They bring down 3. The Wraith King is alive. Did he buy back? Or did he just TP you? No, he just TP back to base. So
he doesn't have buyback. That's the sad thing. So even if he does die, then he's going to be in the same boat as this Puck was. Puck, 100 seconds in the grave. And though it won't be a dieback on this Raid King, because of the fact that he's the highest level hero on his team, or one of the highest drawn with the Puck, and the highest farm, he's going to be in the grave for a while. And we might have an opportunity to find out for how long here, Halbert.
The good damage came out from the Witch Doctor. Might be enough to kill Helsinki. He thinks so. He wants to back off. They trolled him. They trolled him. Helsinki, are you going to live? You're going to be okay, buddy. It's okay. I saw that. That wasn't very nice of you, Worm. Try to kill your Doom. You lucky he's on your team. Caught it so he can game. I like it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's going to be GG, well played. Congratulations to Myrmidons. They're going to go ahead and progress in the lower bracket here at EGL 1 Season 2. And tip the cap to a fine outing for Guns and Rosé, who, you know what? They gave it a go. They gave it a good fight. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, they really did actually give it, especially in Game 2. Game 1, let's forget about Game 1, but Game 2! They actually
it was a game 1. I don't know what you're talking about. Was it a beer 1?
It was a beer 1 as far as I know. It's like TI, you know, the round 1 of lower bracket is all beer 1s, you know?
Exactly, there we go. That's what happened, yeah.
But it's really, shout out to Guns and Rosé. Not just playing a much better game, but the game looked lost, right, at some point early on. And it looked lost because of how well it was going from JK's side, how well things were going with Helsinki's Doom in the offlane. It looked like it was just going to be another quick blowout, but Guns and Rosé not only held out, but started taking actually positive fights for themselves, made positive movements on the map, were able to take down towers, were able to get farm on their cores, were able to actually get to a portion of the game where Protato felt useful. It wasn't like game one where what did Protato actually do? Here was able to actually do quite a bit with this Raid King. The offlane Tidehunter, what a torrid start, right? Absolutely horrible beginning of the game, but there was a turning point. That fight, especially that happened underneath the tier 2 tower down bottom, gave the opportunity for Guns and Rosé to really come back into the game. And they did it not just by throwing heroes at the board, but by actually waiting when is the right time to use this spell versus another spell. This spell should set up for the next one. At the beginning of the game, we were seeing Morty's Kisses out of nowhere. As the game extended, they would only emerge after a Dream Coil, after a Ravage. The same would be true for the Death Ward. The same would be true of Protato coming into the fight. The first couple of deaths, the first like 4 or 5 deaths, I mean, I was trolling Protato, saying, what the hell? 5 deaths on this hero at this point in the game, completely unacceptable. From that point, only died twice for the rest of the game.
And he was making space.
He was. He really was.
He was not just sitting back and then it happened to him. He actually was quite aggressive, and you know, I think you got to hand it to him. He did his best. It was a fun game as well. I mean, look, the fact that they also had the hey, call GG so we can go game 3, right? Like that kind of behavior at the end of the game means that this is a side that enjoyed themselves. They're not upset about what's going on, even though they had a nightmare, like a nightmare story. I mean, they're gonna go to bed tonight. They're gonna hear like this kind of sound of something, you know, making its way through the tree line. They'd be like, oh no, it's all the Titan coming for me again. But they had a good night and they had fun, and I think at the end of that, that's what we are here to do, right? Like it's one thing winning. If it's a terrible experience, reaching that win probably wasn't worth it. So in this case, even though they lost, they were halfway there, right?
Yeah, they had a lot of fun. They made us have fun. The team clearly was able to adapt. I mean, it's one of these things where you need to be able to lose as well in order to be able to improve and win. And there's a lot for them to take home positively from this actual game. When they look back at the replay, by the way, always do it. You play any kind of competitive game, not just Dota. Make sure you get a replay so you can watch what you were doing. But they'll be happy. They can actually be satisfied knowing for the fact that, yes, Myrmidons is a team that was very favored against us. Well, clearly after game 1. Myrmidons went for a much funkier draft than in game 1. And they didn't have an easy go of it, which is good positive news for Guns and Rosé. You've shown that though you might lose, you want to roll over. It wasn't like the team could sleep their way to victory. They actually had to try their best. Game 1, they tried their best. For Myrmidons, they won very easily. Game 2, Guns and Rosé did a lot better. Also, real talk. I want to say, Wobble. I feel actually really sad that Wobble's not going to get a game 3, right? Because had Wobble started with Puck and then was able to do the same level up from Puck to another hero now, this could easily have been a very different series, right? Because there were some incredible Dream Coil, some incredible escapes from near-death situations. And hell, even this last pickup of the Lincoln Sphere actually ended up working out in their favor a couple times. The itemization, I'm not always 100% on with what Wobble did, but much better performance from them. And I kind of feel like Guns and Rosé, I would be very sad if this team broke up. I feel like they need to stick together for at least one more EGL season. At least one.
Hey, and I couldn't agree more. But on that note, let's call it a night. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's a lovely working in with you, Snare. Let's not make it too... I feel like it's been a while. It's 2019, 2020, I don't know. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time for some more EGL1 Season 2 action. Till then, look after each other's and look after each other's. Okay, I'm done here. Good night, goodbye.